We get it rolling on the Krug Show after Niner football. 49ers on the road beat the Rams in L.A. Levi's South, if you want to call it that. SoFi. Niners get the win over the Rams. Very impressive win, 30-23. Welcome to the Krug Show, brought to you by Piggin' a Pickle, the best barbecue in Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. Open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Piggin' a Pickle, the best barbecue you're ever going to find. Go get the brisket chili. Say hi to Damon, say hi to Mary, and tell them that Krug sent you. And, of course, we're also brought to you by Marin Auto Glass and New York-style Italian Sausage Company and Underdog Fantasy. All right, guys, what'd you think? 30-23, hard-hitting game. Man, I guess my first takeaway before we throw it around here, the Rams are going to win games this year. They're 1-1. Stafford is still very much a great quarterback. He completed 88, almost 80% of his passes in the first half of the game. Kyren Williams is real. He had exactly 100 yards on 22 touches and 2 touchdowns. He was impressive. Tutu Atwell is a burner. There's no doubt about it. Targeted him 9 times. He caught 7 balls. But Puka Nacua, how good is this Rams, ball control going to be when they can have Nacua on one side and Cooper Kupp on the other side? The rookie from BYU, 20 targets for 15 catches, 147 yards. He was awesome. He was absolutely in fuego. The Niners do something to Aaron Donald that makes him disappear. And he disappeared again in this game. He had no tackles. He had 1 hit on the quarterback. He was a complete non-factor. Brock Purdy, the Niners offense under Brock Purdy, guys, scores 30 points a game. And they scored 30 again. He wasn't spectacular. He missed some key throws on key third downs. It could have been a bigger score than it was. 17-25 for Purdy, 206 yards. No touchdowns, but no picks. And he was only sacked 1 time. The Niners averaged almost 6 yards on the ground, 28 for 159, led by, once again, CMC, who had 116 off 20 carries, almost 6 yards a carry. Debo, as a lot of people expected, went off. He got 9 touches, 9 targets, 6 receptions for 63 yards. Jennings caught a couple balls. Ayuk looked like he might have been dinged up in this game. He was targeted 6 times. He caught 3. Kittle got 3 catches. 49ers were +2 in turnovers. Greenlaw and Warner combined for 23 tackles, 16 of them solo, a sack, a tackle for loss, and 2 passes defensed, and a hit on the quarterback. Those 2 guys were great. Mooney was great. Lenore got a great pick. Isaiah Oliver made some big plays. Jake Moody made 3 field goals, including a 57-yarder. So a lot of good stuff for the Niners, and they're all not going to be blowouts. I guess some people could look at this and go, oh, come on, the Rams are not that good. You should beat them by more than 7. I don't know. It's the NFL in 2023. Everything seems pretty close. I thought it was a good win, though. Real good win. And if there's one thing that stands out, the Niner defense looks really, really intriguing on all 3 levels, despite the success of Nacua. And the Niner offense with Purdy is a 30-point-a-game offense. So give me your takeaways. Let's go around the room. Rye, we'll start with you on the bottom square here. You get the Pat Willis jersey rocking today. What'd you think? What'd you think of the win on the road?
Well, yeah, I just moved into my new studio. That's a little echoey. I'm gonna have to do something about that. But yeah, so I figured got to rock a jersey because I've just got a blank background going. Larry, you kind of covered it all, but I will say if I had one takeaway that's negative, it's McVay just completely ate Steve Wilk's lunch. And I don't know if that's because – I don't know if that was just Stafford cooking or if it was kind of I tweeted out it's almost like the reverse effect of putting a donut on a baseball bat. That Steelers poopy offense and Kenny Pickett playing them and then showing up and playing the Rams. But this Rams team, I My biggest takeaway is like the Rams basically played them to a standstill. Stafford pretty much didn't have one bad pass the entire game. He had a few
great
things. Things were popping out of guys' hands a little bit. Their whole team looked really great. And if not for the turnovers, it would have just been a track meet. And so my big takeaway, I don't think there's any diss on the Niners, but I think if there's a team that could come outside of the Cowboys, Eagles, and Niners, if there's a team that could sneak in a wild card and make some noise and maybe make a trip to the Super Bowl, I think the Rams have an outside chance.
That's interesting.
Well,
I wasn't even, it's funny. I was not thinking of the Rams as a playoff team, but I think you're right. I think they could be in the Niners and Eagles and Cowboys at the top, but there's going to be a couple other playoff teams in the NFC, and it's like it could be them. It could be them this year. They could be this year's version of Seattle a year ago.
And they're actually likable. I actually watched the game with some Rams fans, and like they're happy to get rid of like no more Jalen Ramsey. It's not all the big stars they got in trades. It's just a bunch of young guys. It's like a likable team. It's kind of a nobody believes in us team led by Stafford and McVay. So I actually like this team.
Baller, what'd you see?
The 49ers, they did not have their A game today. But good teams still find ways to win when you're playing a B- game. Brock Purdy, I thought this was not Brock Purdy's sharpest game. He left a lot of yards on that field. He missed Ayuk on that sluggo, right? That slant and go. Ayuk had a ton of separation. Purdy overthrew
Jennings.
Debo absolutely obliterated a Rams DB off the line of scrimmage, had a couple steps, and Purdy airmailed him too. He missed Debo on a slant. I thought Brock Wall, he took care of the ball, and the turnover differential was huge. Niners winning the turnover battle 2-0. But Brock, he was not that sharp today, in my opinion, but he did enough. He didn't hurt you, but he just missed on some throws that just would have been huge chunk plays, possible touchdowns for big yardage. But Christian McCaffrey was phenomenal. I thought this O-line did a great job blocking it up, and like Chris Berman would say, you get a seal here and a seal there. I saw some nice alleys for McCaffrey to run through today, like the 50-yarder. And then one of the big drives in the first half, the Niners were down 17-10 with 1:45. They got the ball back, and Purdy led a nice 2-minute drive right before halftime. You had Juwan Jennings going down the seam for a 20-yard grab. Debo made a couple plays. So I thought that drive before halftime was huge because that tied it up even at half. And the second half, this defense really turned it up to another notch. Because I got to be honest, early on, I was getting kind of frustrated with this defense. Matt Stafford and the Rams started off field goal, touchdown. And I kept saying, why are we playing such soft coverage? It was like they were content giving these 7-yard curls to Puka, 10-yard digs. Like it was just easy catch after easy catch. They were playing that bend but don't break style. And early on, it felt like the Rams were taking advantage of that. But hey, over time, it wore out the Rams, and you saw, like Kyron Williams make a mistake, drop the pass, ball's tipped up in the air. Isaiah Oliver gets the interception. Demo jumps a route for an interception. So they were playing the bend but don't break style early, and it looked like it broke down the Rams in the second half.
Kev, what'd you see?
I was thinking like all week, everyone was just completely underselling this Rams team. I mean, I'm not sure if the content creators were, but at least the people coming in the chat were like, 45-0 Niners. And people were just underselling this Rams team. If you watch that Seattle game, they were passing the ball effectively. So I wasn't really surprised when Stafford was able to do that. And, Stafford just was able to find the weak spots in coverage and just deliver the ball on time. The other thing that I thought was interesting from this game from a defensive perspective was Wilkes. He blitzed a lot. And last game, that was a question a lot of people were asking was, is he going to blitz a lot? And then we saw tons of corner blitzes, tons of middle linebacker blitzes that weren't really effective in the beginning of the game. But towards the end of the game, I thought they were super well timed and they were really key to getting some of those fourth down stops. But yeah, overall great win. I mean, Purdy didn't look amazing, but they still scored 30 points. And that seems to be the new norm for this team.
Purdy missed some deep shots. You know, I mean, he missed some. He missed some. They took some shots down the field, and guys were there. Guys were running free. I mean, the Niners were getting guys open deep against the Rams DBs, and Brock just couldn't. You know, he kept leading his guys a little too far. One of the sequences that I was really encouraged by and want to get your guys' thoughts on. And by the way, we welcome in the great Dan Coach Emilio. Danny, before I go on my soliloquy, you watch this thing. You got a Niner flag. You got a Niner hat. You got a red shirt, damn it. Give us your thoughts on this thing.
And a fantasy team.
You got a fantasy team. You got a fantasy league, damn it.
Oh, yeah.
You're coming on after a Niner win and a Giants win. You don't know what to do with yourself. You're in a Kapler coma.
Well, I got to tell you, I was hoping the Giants would lose, but I just it's kind of fun watching them.
You're not a real fan.
No, I'm not. I'm not a real fan. 54 years of
You're not a real fan.
It's terrible. No, I thought the Niners, they did what they had to do. They looked the run game looked a little suspect on defense. Rams were moving them. Eric had mentioned Baller, a lot of the ceiling. I took a picture, a video, and then I just cleaned that still shot. Look at that hole right there. That's Trent Williams sealing off the guy there, and then Banks on that play just blew his guy. And McCaffrey, that lane, man, you could drive a car through there almost. Look at that.
Damn.
But that was all Williams and Banks, the left side. Williams crossed over. Banks crossed over, took the tackle, took him out, and then Williams jumped in front to kind of seal off and made the hole just beautiful. That was such an awesome looking play. But I think the key.
Nick says Dan loves showing phone videos, and I don't think you meant that. I don't think you meant that Banks blew him. I think what you meant is he blew him away.
Yeah,
I think you meant he blew him away.
Anyway,
I just we got to edit Danny every now and then.
Yeah, I thought it was there wasn't their best game, but like Kev said, you do what you got to do to win games. Maybe that was Baller. I'm not sure who said that, but you do what you have to do to win the game. I do think Purdy didn't have his best game. I think it wouldn't have been that close if he hit two out of those three were touchdowns, wide open. He just didn't put any air on it. He tried to fire it for some reason instead of loft it and let the receivers kind of run under the ball. It was like he tried to make the perfect pass where they were at the moment instead of just leading them with, a little loft. But other than that,
hey, at least, part of, it's just funny. You got to go out there and make plays, but what you also have to do is not avoid negative plays. I think that might be the most underrated aspect of being a good quarterback in the NFL is minimizing negative plays as much as it is to make a play. It's like, and I get it, guys will make a play. I'm thinking we got to make a play. And it's a mindset that works on defense, but on offense, it's like make a play, but also, win the game. Do what you got to do to win the game. I'll tell you one thing I thought was interesting. What'd you guys think of Shanahan at the end of the first half? I thought there was a very good chance he was going for the field goal there, and instead he lets Purdy go quarterback sneak on the final play of the half on 2nd and goal from the 1. If he gets stuffed there, they don't get the touchdown. They wind up with no points at all. I just feel like in past years, Shanahan may have gone for a field goal there. I was really happy to see them, put it in Brock's hands. And I'll say this too. I like what I see out of Purdy as a sneaker in anything that's, let's say 4th and 1, 4th and 2, 4th and 3. If it's anything more than that. But how about that one quarterback sneak where he ran almost 4 yards? So I'm not saying he's Jalen Hurts, but
from the back. I want Juszczyk coming in. I want that tush push coming the Niners' way because we just see how effective it is. But Purdy got it done without it. But I was wondering if these fullbacks were going to.
I thought that was a great play call by Kyle because he brought in Juszczyk and then McCaffrey in a 2-set backfield, which made it think it was going to be Juszczyk was going to be the lead blocker. So he kind of deked the Rams into not stacking the center for the sneak. And he just, I think Kyle just masterfully called that, because had they brought in the Philadelphia backfield, with the, with the push, obviously it's going to be a QB sneak. The Rams weren't hugging, the center there looking for it. And I thought that was great call. Because
Brian Dunn says, Danny, here, put 2 singles in your, what? That was a great, good to see you, Danny. That's Brian Dunn just saying, Danny, hello. No, Brian, we appreciate you, brother. We appreciate you jumping in. What do you guys think, though? I mean, Kyle, do you think Kyle is going to go for it more on 4th down this year? It seems like the last few years, the Eagles and the Ravens and these teams that are like super hyper into the football analytics are getting more into going for it on anything that's under, let's say, 4th and 5. And I wasn't sure about Brock Purdy as a quarterback sneak quarterback, because he is smaller, but the guy is compact. He doesn't give you a big target. It's not like a 6'6" guy, and he does have strong legs, and he's a hell of a competitor. In some ways, I feel like that might not be the worst thing. Instead of trying to call one of these running plays to one of these speed backs. Or even CMC. CMC is a great player, but I felt like there was a couple runs in the first half, and tell me if you guys think I'm wrong, where I just feel like he could have taken one lane, took another, and it just didn't look good or didn't do anything. And I just get sometimes I wonder, I mean, he's an incredible athlete, great receiver, top whatever NFL running back, but I've seen guys who are a little bit more instinctive between the tackles than he is. He's a little bit more athlete than pure pick and slide, find the right hole running back. I don't know. What do you guys think? It seems like CMC, his feel is, on certain run plays, you almost feel like he doesn't quite maximize or take the right hole.
You wish he had a little more like Frank Gore in him.
Yeah, or even just like Elijah Mitchell. Mitchell's so pure in that he always picks the right hole and he maximizes every run. Obviously, CMC is their best back, and he's more explosive than Elijah. But there were 2 runs in the first half where I felt like, man, if he had gone a little bit to the left, it was there, but instead he kind of went to the right and got stuffed. And his feel, I don't think, is tremendous. But overall, I kind of knew this game wasn't. We talked about this the last couple of days. I thought the Niners are going to score around 30. I thought the Rams were going to score about 17. We were saying 31-17. And what was the final? 30-23. So we were pretty close. But this Ram team is going to win games. I mean, I don't know if they're a 10-win team, but they're going to win games. They're not. If they think they're going to suck and get Caleb Williams out of USC, they ought to think again. Because they're going to have to move Stafford and probably Donald away in trades to have a shot at Caleb. Otherwise, there's too. Don't you think, guys? Don't you think the Rams are going to win based on what you saw last week and today? I'd say they're going to be. They're for sure going to win 6 or 7 games.
Yeah,
I think more.
Think so.
I think like 9. I mean, I think McVay not taking that the Amazon job for hundreds of millions of dollars. I think him turning that down and, essentially saying like, me and Stafford, we're running this shit back for a couple more years. They're trying to win ball games. I think McVay kind of is embracing this somewhat underdog-y kind of Rams team. I would be surprised if they didn't win 9 games.
Yeah, I think the Rams over-under was 6.5 for the season. And, initially I was thinking of taking the under on that. But through 2 weeks and watching them play, I think the over 6.5 looks like the better bet.
And I mean, it was 10.5 last year. And I mean, they beat the hell out of Seattle week 1. It was 10.5 last year, and last year was the year from hell. Everyone got injured. Stafford was injured, throwing a million picks. So yeah, I think they're closer to that 10.5 than they are like a 6.5.
Stafford's the key there. I mean, he did it today. He was just dicing up the.
Incredible.
I remember I kept turning him like he's just dicing up the secondary. I mean, you could see on the replays it was like, all right, Puka Nacua is going to run a little hook route right where they switch off from the linebacker to the slot corner, like right in that little zone, and then he's just going to fire right on time in there, and they just kept like just knocking off yards and getting first downs.
And it really negated the Niners pass rush.
Yeah,
Stafford
exactly.
had these quick hitters where he's getting the ball out in a second, negating Bosa and Hargrave. So I thought the Rams had a good game plan of getting the ball out quick with some screens and Puka on some little quick hitters, the curl routes, the dig routes. So I thought the Rams had a good game plan.
The one thing about the Rams that's kind of interesting, I mean, this Nakua comes out of nowhere. What round did they get him in?
I think it was the fifth.
I mean, he is just absolutely an unstoppable force. And it's like, if you're not trying to do a whole lot and you're willing to get pounded on the back from, and when you make a catch, I mean, they were hitting him hard. He's got some bruises. I mean, this guy came into the game with an oblique and some sore ribs. This guy's going to have the sorest ribs of all time before Thanksgiving. I mean, if this guy can take this workload and be this kind of player all year, this is the Iron Man of Ironmans, because I mean, he runs these little stop routes. They're little nothing routes, but he squares his shoulders to the quarterback. Stafford's got a lightning quick release. He doesn't mind taking a big hit. He can catch it in a crowd. And it's just like it's somewhat unstoppable. And then when you think about Cooper Kupp, and there's a lot of elements of Kupp's game that are also kind of equally unstoppable. I mean, he runs 4.62, and yet, Stafford to Kupp, when they won the Super Bowl was like one of the most unstoppable things of all time. Imagine if you could have a better defense and you still had Stafford and they had a little bit better offensive line, and you have Cooper Kupp, Tutu Atwell, and Nakua and Higbee. I mean, that's pretty damn good. I mean, this kid, I'm convinced this kid is good. And it's like and all he wants to do is that little stop route, the little turnaround, 5 yards, 10 yards, turn around, flip around. There it is, boom. And it's like, oh, take a big hit and go to the ground. And I saw him. They showed film from him working out earlier this week at practice. The guy's got ridiculous, powerful legs. So it's not like you can hit him in the legs and it's going to hurt him. He's got really, really strong base. So I mean, and then Atwell's such a burner that he creates space. So it's weird. You got two receivers. One guy you got to back off of him and not let him get deep, because otherwise he'll go to the house on you. The other guy, you got to really, really, really hug up on him and like challenge him at the line of scrimmage. You can't even play off coverage or any kind of zone, because he just finds a soft spot, turns around. Stafford's got such a lightning quick release. It's borderline unstoppable. You almost have to sell out like you're going to. I mean, that's what Lenore did. I'll give Lenore credit. Second half of this game, Lenore hugged up on him. He got super aggressive, and he got a pick.
He reminded me of the Colorado State kid, Horton. It was just like bagging those like 7-yard catches the entire night.
Yeah, it's a good call.
I mean, how many times did you guys see them throw deep this game? I don't think they threw deep almost like ever. And like to Baller's point,
maybe one to Atwell.
The pass rush. There was no time to sack the quarterback because the ball was out so fast.
I mean, can I ask you guys that question? Do you think it's an outdated thing to spend the kind of money that the Niners spend on defensive line, when you can totally negate a Nick Bosa? What did Nick Bosa actually do in this game? He had 2 tackles. He had 1 solo. He had 1 tackle for loss. He had 3 hits on the quarterback the entire day and no sacks. It's like if you want to just get it out super fast and operate solely underneath and not have any real downfield passing attack, you can kind of take away a great D-line. I mean, what do you think? Is D-line now, is it no longer smart to invest monster dollars in defensive linemen in an era where guys like Stafford can drop 3 steps back and negate basically all that money that you're spending on your defensive linemen?
I kind of look at it differently. I look at it like it's because of that money that they're spending. They're forcing the Rams and other teams to do something that they normally wouldn't do. And if you got good corner coverage, you can really squeeze them and everything's going to be underneath. If the Niners can improve on their, secondary coverage skills, getting those corner covers, you're going to force those guys. If they're covered, they're not going to be open. And then Stafford's not that deep in the pocket. They're going to be able to get to him. I just think it puts it changes their game. So having that pressure is always good, in my opinion, to have a top-notch defensive line, because that's where any football game is won, in my opinion, is in the trenches.
What do you guys
I'm
think? I
still
mean, the
going
two
with-
best pass rushers in the game were Bosa and Donald, and they combined for 0 sacks against two quarterbacks that, say what you want, they got the ball out quick.
I'm still going with the dominant D line because, like Dan said, when the D line's getting after you, got to get the ball out. It's hard to put together 15 play drives consistently, 18 play drives without making a mistake, without dropping a ball that puts you behind down in distance. So they played the bend but don't break style. And, early on, like I said, field goal, touchdown, it had me nervous. But as the game progressed, the bend but don't break style worked. And we saw Kyron Williams, ball tips off his hand, interception. Demo Lenore jumps a route. So I like making teams have to put together long drives rather than, having to blitz 5 or 6 consistently. And that leaves the more possibilities for chunk plays, right? Because you're leaving guys one-on-one on islands. So I prefer the dominant D-line. I still like the philosophy that Kyle and John have kind of put forth with this defense.
Yeah, I agree too. I mean, if you're not gonna, what am I trying to say? If they're trying to take big chunks down the field, like if you negate that, they have to be perfect down the field. Like every drive, they have to be perfect. 15 plays in a row, they need to hit 3 of 4. It just takes 1-3 stops in a row, and then they're punting. So I agree.
Gerardo Sanchez says, he says the pass rushers are important, Kruger. They change the timing of each pass. The idea is the secondary needs to be as good as well. It's interesting. So the 49ers didn't really get to Stafford that much. They did get to him 5 times. 3 of them were Bosa. But really the Rams did not bother Brock Purdy at all. What'd you make of the 49ers offensive line? I mean, is the Niner offensive line, which is much maligned, it seems like every summer, people are always going, and people, were lined up. It's sad. Going into week 1, I was the only person who wanted to talk to Colton McKivitz. So I went to go talk to him this week. There was a group of people standing at his locker. Why? Because the negative story is he gave up a couple sacks to TJ Watt, and everybody wanted to ask him about it. So now he's holding court. Well, I bet you they're probably, we love negativity so much. There'll probably be crickets over by his locker this week, Rye, as you remember the locker room pretty well, because now, it's like the Niner O-line, what? I mean, what would you say about the Niner O-line? The Niners ran for 5.7 yards per carry. Brock Purdy was sacked 1 time all day. What else? Let's see. The quarterback hits. The Rams only got 3 quarterback hits on Purdy all day. 2 from Byron Young, 1 from Aaron Donald. That's it. So what do you guys think of the Niner O-line? Is the Niner O-line need more credit, or is this just a game where the ball got out quick and they're the stats show them better than they were?
Yeah, the O-line's fine. I felt the same way last year. I mean, pretty much every year with Shanahan, if you just look back historically, I mean, the year they made it to the Super Bowl, I believe they were on a 3rd-string center, and Joe Staley was injured, right? So they usually have some injuries to key positions in the O-line. They just figure it out because, I mean, the only time when the O-line becomes a question is like, let's say the Rams got up by 20 points early in the game, just jumped on them, and then they had to come from behind. Yeah, maybe if the Rams defense is just teeing off, the O-line could be a problem, but that's usually not the game script for Shanahan.
What'd you guys think? I mean, how would you evaluate the Niner O-line through 2 games? Last week, TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Cam Hayward. This week, it's Aaron Donald. Thursday night, you got Kayvon Thibodeau, and you got Akeem Ojulari, right? Both those guys can fly off the edge. I didn't watch a lot of G-Men Arizona today, but G-Men came way back. They were down, was it 28-0 or something like that? And by the way, full disclosure, my wager of the day, guys, and we probably should start our shows with everybody reveal what they wagered on, because that seems like that always comes up before it's all said and done. And I know Danny's a degenerate gambler like myself. I took Niners and G-Men on the tees. So I thought I was done, right? Because I took, I thought the Niners would cover, because I think it was Niners -1. But then I had G-Men +3.5, and they were getting destroyed, absolutely destroyed. And if I had been in a casino with an actual ticket, I probably would have ripped it up. But instead, I just stopped watching, and I looked up at the end, and it's 28-28, and sure enough, the Giants came all the way back and won. So I actually cashed today. What did we did anybody else wager today? Danny, Rye, Baller?
I didn't
yesterday.
bet, but dude, what a bad beat if you bet on the Niners -7.5 or -8.
Oh my God, we didn't even talk about that.
They kicked a field goal last second, like that's for no reason too. Like what? That's so tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a bad beat.
Paying
That was
off a buddy. I think McVay was paying somebody off. I mean, he had literally no chance to win the game with 4 seconds to even get the ball back. It takes 4 seconds at least for a field goal. So I don't know why he was. I don't know. Anyway, it's pretty weird.
Yeah, that was very dubious. Let's just call. I think today's word on the post game show is dubious. That is dubious.
Happened to see the right before you came on. Reason I was just a minute or two late. I was watching the end of the Redskins Broncos game.
They've actually switched now. They're now the Commanders, Danny.
That's right.
Yeah, they've switched it up. And by the way, the Bullets are no longer. I just want to.
It's not the
let you know
anymore.
My blanket says they're the Redskins.
Yeah, you haven't even used that blanket.
No, it's a collector's item. I got one of the Indians right here too. So it's I'm waiting to see if the price goes up. Now, always thinking about trying to make a buck.
Great, Danny.
Collecting all the canceled logos.
do you have a doggy diner head somewhere in there?
Bob's Big Boy. Yeah. Hey, no, I was watching the that's right, Commanders game, and Wilson threw a Hail Mary, just threw it way up in the air. He was getting clobbered as he threw it from the 50, and it only went to about the 5-yard line, and it gets tipped and batted, and a guy catches it in the end zone for Denver, and they have to get the 2-point conversion. They didn't make it. I thought there was PI on the 2-point conversion, but they didn't call it. It would have been cool to see another overtime. Who else went overtime today? It was Detroit, I think, right?
Oh, how about the disgusting Chargers? Just, I hate them. I hate Herbert.
Hey,
Herbert just doesn't win. Have you guys noticed that? I mean, we can say whatever we want about Herbert, and he's awesome. He's 6'6", he's 240. Nobody throws the ball quite like Herbert. And then you look at his record, and you're like, well, wait a second. He's got a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. That coach has got to be on the hot seat. Herbert threw for 300-plus yards. Keenan Allen went off in that game, and they still lose to the Titans.
Yeah.
You're losing to the Titans?
Unbelievable. I was watching it. One of my bold takes right before the season, we did some bold takes. I said Brandon Staley will be fired before the halfway point of the season. I think he's going to go soon, because today the Titans had the ball. It was 4th and 1 or 4th and 1, and Henry was just come out of the game. He was exhausted, and Staley calls a timeout, and then what's his name? Vrabel goes, get back in there. After the time, they hand the ball to Henry, first down, and that was the drive where they went ahead and won the game. What is he thinking? Calling a timeout when it's like, I think it was half a yard. It's going to Henry, and they had taken him out. And he,
Danny, I think even worse than that was the Chargers taking the ball first. It was a 3-and-out. 3 deep balls incomplete. How about that?
3 deep balls. Yeah. I don't know what they're there's, I guess maybe because Eckler's out, they, I don't know what the heck.
Who would you guys, if I said to you guys 2 weeks in, who really looks good? Who really looks good to you? I mean, there's a Monday night doubleheader. Eagles are 2-0. They beat the Vikings on Thursday night, but I thought their offense didn't look very good. Commanders are 2-0, believe it or not. Dallas is 2-0, and they won by 20, but they're beating the Jets. Big day today for CeeDee Lamb. Dallas, a one running back team. I thought that there was a chance the Giants would be good, but I mean, God, they could barely beat Arizona, and they get destroyed in week 1. Who actually looked good today was C.J. Stroud. Did you guys see C.J. Stroud? He threw for 384.
Yeah,
Some touchdowns.
He had a great stat line, but like they were up or they were down, and then
they were down.
Brought them back. But there's some gross 2-0 teams out there, like the Bucks. I mean,
Bucks are 2-0.
Good for Baker. But the Falcons kills me because I have Bijan Robinson in like every league. Looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Ritter can't throw the ball. Last week he had a negative average depth of target. This week it wasn't much better. He had like one deep ball that he completed, but it's just nothing but screen passes. And somehow they're 2-0. And in all of his college career and NFL career, Ritter is still undefeated as a home quarterback. Crazy.
How about the Bengals 0-2 and they lost at home to the Ravens?
Yeah.
Bengals looking very Joe Burrow and Nick.
Joe Burrow took the money and ran.
He turned it around towards the end of the game, but in the beginning of the game, he was terrible.
Now, does the calf still look like a problem with Joe?
He said he re-aggravated it.
No kidding. So,
yeah.
But watching Red Zone, you don't get the full encompass of the games. But how does Joe? Because Joe's mobility is really what creates a lot of these big plays down the field. Like, he's a mobile guy, but if that is being limited, then Joe, he's not the same. The Heisman winner. He had a great season last year, but he's not the same guy.
One of the guys at the Ringer did a great stud. I don't know if you call it a study on this, but he tracked the whole thing. So Burrow, obviously, one of his great things is he's just a tough bastard. He'll hang in there even when his O-line's shit and just get the shit beat out of him. But he hangs in there and waits till
Is he going to be out a while, Burrow, or is he?
No, he's going to play again next week.
He's going to play because, man, if he was out, Niners might want to look to trade Brandon Allen back to the Bengals, pick up a decent draft pick because
possibly. But anyway, so the finding of the study was that he was like, it was like a full second, or like 0.8 seconds that he was getting rid of the ball quicker. So he clearly was worried about his calf. He's getting the ball out quick, which is kind of what it looks like. It looks like he's not hanging in there. He's not.
That calf muscle.
So it's probably also a little mental too.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
How many times have you heard the calf muscle and all of a sudden the guy, KD, Aaron Rodgers, and all of a sudden now it's an Achilles?
Yeah. Dan, if you told me you had a sore calf, I'd worry about you walking the dogs.
Me? Yeah, you bet, man. I can't. Hey, for sure.
Dave Lombardi has tweeted out, he said Brock Purdy in the locker room afterwards on his 3 overthrows. He said, those are on me. I've got to hit them in stride and be better. It's what you've got to do as an NFL quarterback, and I take that upon myself. Yeah, it wasn't one of his greater performances, but, here's the bottom line. If you don't turn the ball over, you got a chance to win every game. You got a chance to win a lot of games. What do you think of what do you guys think overall of the nickel corner situation? I mean, they seemed like the Rams had too many easy completions, but then, man, in the second half, I thought Isaiah Oliver really made a couple of big plays. One on a third down, the other an interception, 2 drives back-to-back there in the third. In some ways, just those 2 plays alone make this Oliver's best game. What do you guys think of Oliver? What do you guys think of the nickel cornerback position? Do the Niners have a problem in the secondary?
The secondary, I thought, played really soft today, gave up a bunch of catches underneath. But Oliver, I thought Oliver was really good. Kyron Williams dropped the pass. It got tipped up. So maybe he was just in the right spot at that time. But the play I loved about Oliver was a 4th down. I think it was 4th and 2. And they blitzed Oliver, and he shot the gap, tackle
against the
loss.
run.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He didn't make the tackle, but he changed the running back's trajectory, and Armstead and Warner cleaned it up.
Pretty much, he blew up the play, and it was
Yeah.
a 4th down. So that was a big time momentum shifter. So absolutely stock up on Oliver. But Ambry, before Ambry got hurt, I thought Ambry was getting cooked. I thought he was playing way too soft, just giving up like 10-yard catches easy. So, I thought the defense looked better when Ambry went out and Oliver came into the slot. And then Demo, I thought Demo was tough today. He had the interception, but I thought just overall
He had a couple big hits too.
Demo brings it, man. That's the thing. Kyle Shanahan and this defense, like the DBs, they have to tackle. When I'm watching some of these other teams around the league, the corners, they have no interest in tackle. But our guys, whether it's Charvarius or Demo or Oliver, like it's a prerequisite. The 49ers DBs have to tackle, and they do.
Who do you think's more apt to have to carry the other this year? The Niner offense to have to carry the D, the Niner defense to have to carry the O?
I mean, it's been the defense, right? It's been the defense year after year.
It was the defense in week 1. I mean, the Steelers didn't do anything until almost second half. Today, though, I mean, it felt like in the first half, like the Niners almost had no way to stop the Rams, and that if they were going to win, they were going to have to win a shootout. I mean, it didn't feel like that for 10 minutes of the second quarter.
I still feel like at the end of the game, it kind of felt like that. Like the 2 interceptions were really kind of lucky. There was just like a couple things that broke the Rams or the Niners' way, and if those didn't happen, I mean, that was kind of a crazy catch by Oliver. I don't know about you guys, but I was like yelling, like, "What are you doing? Like, just let Warner catch it!" And he just one-handed it. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't feel confident at all the entire time the Rams were on offense.
They almost had a third pick at the end, but Hufanga was about ready to catch that in the end zone. And who was it that reached their hand out and just tipped it, almost caught it themselves? Was going right at the end, toward the end of the game when the Rams were going for last drive when they got the field goal.
I'm not sure.
It was like going right in the lap. I mean, Hufanga was just waiting for it, and then somebody reached out and almost picked it off themselves. I can't remember who it was, but that was the.
Hey, by the way, the ball was that direct snap to McCaffrey was not supposed to be a direct snap to McCaffrey, was it?
That was just luck. Yeah, that was.
It hit off Kittle.
Wow.
Kittle was coming across on the motion, and it got snapped right as he was behind Brendel, and it kicked off Kittle right to McCaffrey. So it was a lucky break.
That's living right. And then also Purdy had a fumbled snap that he fell on. You never know the bounce of those, of how that's going to go. So, it's funny. The margin for error in the NFL is so minuscule, and any number of things can keep a game tight. I'll say this. I know there'll be people that will be critical of the 49ers tomorrow because this game was close and the Rams are not an overwhelming team. But I would probably push back on that and say that, the Rams do certain things really, really well. I think it's going to be very difficult for a lot of defenses this year to stop Stafford to Atwell, Stafford to Kupp, Stafford to Nakua, Stafford to Higbee. To me, the Rams don't have a powerful run game, but man, if they were to get like a Jonathan Taylor to go with Kyron Williams, if they ever had a real strong run game and they could play this kind of ball control with Stafford, their defense is so thin that it's probably not going to make that much of a difference. But I bet you they get a bunch of wins this year just because, Stafford just is that good and these receivers are that difficult to stop. I mean, the Niners looked really dominant last week defensively, and they didn't allow any points in the second half of this game. So you could say, man, Steve Wilks, deserves a game ball. They shut him out in the second half. And I did like how Wilks uses Warner and Greenlaw a little bit more on the blitz. I like that because it's hard to get away from those guys. You can sidestep a 285-pound defensive lineman. It's hard to sidestep Greenlaw. It's hard to sidestep Fred Warner. So I like the idea of using those guys more on blitzes, and I think Wilkes will do it. But But there was times where it felt like the Rams could complete a pass pretty much at will. And that's a foreign concept against this Niner defense.
I'd have to look at the Oliver, the way he played in coverage again, after watching this game again. But the one thing I will say is I like the way he looks on the blitz. He's kind of he has a free safety body almost. So, he can make the tackle in the backfield. What about Travarius Ward though? He completely whiffed on one, and I was like, dude, what are we doing?
Yeah. You got to break down. He was going full speed, right?
Yeah.
So Stafford, all it took was a little bit. Hey, chop your feet, slow it down a little bit, and make that tackle because, Stafford made a miss and then went on. He ended up completing the ball for a first down, if I'm not mistaken, on that play.
Yeah. No, he did. Yeah.
We haven't seen Bosa necessarily in 2 games get to the quarterback. Is that a concern?
No, I thought he had a couple rushes today where, he had QB hits on Stafford. I know one time he won on an inside rush and it looked good, but today, like we've spoke about, the Rams' game plan was to get the ball out quick and kind of negate some of that. So, Bosa's time is coming.
It's funny. Our good buddy Kyle Posey makes an interesting comment that I do agree with. He says, I think on Twitter, he says, or on X, he says, I think today is more about the Rams being legit and a lot better than folks realize than anything else. We're watching 2 playoff teams, in my opinion. I agree. I know there will be people, and I kind of just said sort of the same thing, that there'll be people that are critical of the Niners tomorrow because, hey, man, the Rams, and you didn't beat them by more and blah, blah, blah. And there'll be people that maybe lost their bets that will be like, hey, they should have covered and this and that. But I think today was a lot about the Rams are real. The Rams are real. And it doesn't take when you have think about it. What do you need to win in the NFL? You need a good coach. They got that box checked. You need a good quarterback. They got that box checked. You got to have somebody on your front 7 that people are scared of. They got that box checked. So, I mean, they do have 3 of the primary needs, and then you need some weapons that you can lean on. And I don't know, to me, I leave today with a lot more respect for Kyron Williams, a lot more respect for Puka Nacua, a lot more respect for Tutu Atwell. And I think those guys are going to continue to produce as long as they can stay healthy. I mean, Nakua's got the kind of game where he is just going to get absolutely destroyed every single week, and he's going to take so many hits. I wonder how long he can play to this level. Kid's got tremendous heart, but I mean, seriously, how many times can you take, 12 hits in the back from Dre Greenlaw before you suddenly have disc issues or, you know what I mean? Or
I do think that teams will figure them out a little bit as the season wears on. Once they realize
they don't have Kupp right now. Like Kupp is like the
I,
best.
I realize that, but what I'm saying is you start playing more man press and make you beat them over the top because they threw 55 times today. Stafford was is 5.6 yards per reception. Purdy was 8.2. They're just throwing a lot of dink under. They don't look like dink and dunk because he throws it so hard, but they were throwing just quick slants, under. Once they figure out how to stop that, the Rams have to go long drives, and you saw what happened. When you go long drives, balls get deflected and balls get picked off. And that's what happened. That was the turning point, is eventually those balls got popped in the air. And I just don't think that, I think it's early. It's 2 games we've seen of Puka and Stafford. They're going to start adjusting to Puka. You watch, he'll be good. I'm not saying but he's not going to get 10 to 15 catches every game.
It's funny. Then you're going to have to seriously hug up, play press man against him, and just challenge him right off the line of scrimmage.
He's not super fast.
He doesn't really do a whole lot. I mean, he literally is just these little shallow crossers, a little hitch screen. Just a little 5-yard stop route, little curl, little comeback. I mean,
He's
doesn't
just Cup 2.0 or 1.0.
right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
He is but like, what do you guys think about
Cup's quicker.
Yeah.
Cup's
Yeah,
quicker.
he's
Yeah.
a little
Cup's
quicker.
This
But,
guy's stronger though.
Yeah, he's strong. He's hard to bring down.
Yeah.
like outside of the top 3, Dallas, who honestly, I'm kind of a little lower on Dallas after just seeing how kind of crappy the Giants. I mean, I know the Giants came back, but they look kind of crappy, and then the Jets are just, kind of gross with Zach Wilson. So I
Dallas
feel
has
like
Dallas has had a soft beginning.
soft, and Dak hasn't really had to do anything. They haven't been in a close game yet, and the Eagles haven't looked like that insane. So like outside of the Eagles, Cowboys, and Niners, like if there was one other team that could possibly make the run, I think the only option is the Rams, because what you were saying, they have the quarterback. They have like a top 3 quarterback in the NFC. They've got a top 3 coach in the NFC. They've got Cooper Kupp. They've got Donald. They've got, they could make a run.
Yeah. The only thing they don't have is the depth. They don't have the depth.
Yeah. Don't have
They
the
get
when you
injured,
talk
they're
about
fucked.
Nick Bosa, I think his breakout week starts in week 4. This is like his training camp. They got a short week this week. Then he gets a 10-day rest after Thursday night, and they go against the Cardinals, and then it's the Cowboys. I think he starts to hit his stride after game 3 because he'll have had 3 games. He'll get total full conditioning. I mean, he can't. I'm not saying he wasn't.
They panned to him a lot when he was kind of looking gassed on the sideline.
I mean, he. It's different. You can work out all you want, but until you start getting hit. So he's going to have 3 games, and then by week 4, I think he's going to be fresh, and it's going to be like the start of the season for him.
A lot of people in week 1, guys, partially because the Niners beat the Steelers so badly, and there weren't a lot of, you know the way it is. People don't want to be effusive in praise. They always feel like they're more, I'm a more critical eye. I'm a more relevant voice if I just rip. So they look for anything that's negative. And, Colton didn't block TJ Watt, and we weren't good on kickoff coverage. And one of the big complaints coming out of week 1, as you guys are well aware, is that, Shanahan didn't get McCaffrey off the field in time. Well, what do you think? I mean, this is another game where there were 20 carries for McCaffrey, 23 touches for McCaffrey. The next Niner, as far as touches, was Debo with 11. So Debo got 11, 23 for McCaffrey. There were no carries for Elijah Mitchell. I don't even know. Was Jordan Mason even up today? I didn't see the inactive list.
I think he was.
I think he was. I saw him on special teams running down.
So
on a kick
So
return.
Jordan Mason has gotten 0 carries. Now you get the quick turnaround. I mean, literally, Niners, today's Sunday, so you got Monday, Tuesday. They'll be off tomorrow. They'll practice Tuesday. They're off on Wednesday. They play again on Thursday. They have 1 practice day between now and the New York Giants.
I bet Mitchell gets a lot of carries Thursday.
Do you think Thursday, Kyle, because some coaches do that. They like, hey, let's get our number 1 guy in rhythm. And then, you know what, in the week where it's almost like 2 games in 1 week, we'll just use McCaffrey in 1 game. Do you think they'll make up some kind of malady for McCaffrey and go with Mitchell in the next game completely and Mason? Or do you think they'll still go with McCaffrey because it's early in the year? What do you think? I mean, and what do you make of the fact that Shanahan is not using Mitchell or J.P. Mason basically at all?
There's no shot that McCaffrey. You're talking about that he doesn't suit up on Thursday?
No,
I'm just saying that some teams will, in this week where they play 2 games in 1 week, they'll take guys who take tons of abuse in the first game and almost just use them as extra in the second game. Like he won't be featured. Like, do you expect him to be featured Thursday night, or do you think that we're going to see a lot of Mitchell and a lot of Mason mixed in?
He's going to be featured. 100%.
I think he'll be featured.
The guy's breaking
early.
50-yard runs. Each of week 1 and week 2, McCaffrey's been dynamic with the ball in his hands. And McCaffrey, he's a guy where if he's feeling good, that he wants to be out there for every snap. So he's going to be out there taking maybe they'll dial him back a touch.
You're not worried about running him into the ground? I mean, this team has ambition on playing in the second week in February. It's September. He's touching the ball a ton.
I think
trying
they
to get that
scale
by.
him back. I think the game plan is the Giants have fallen behind far. I mean, early to Dallas and then Arizona. Arizona's awful, so they were able to come back. But if you can put up a big first quarter and make the Giants one-dimensional, game's over. I mean, Niners have the ability to go up 17, 3 scores in the first quarter against the Giants. And one thing I'm really excited about this year, the first 2 opening drives, the first 2 games, they've scored 7. They've taken, that's been a problem in the past, is always a trademark of Bill Walsh teams. Take the opening drive and score a touchdown. And if they can keep doing that, and with that defense, most of the teams you're not going to be playing with the ability to strike like the Rams, So I think this week, McCaffrey, I would be shocked if he gets the same amount of touches that he got. I would expect Mitchell to get 10 carries, Mason maybe 5, and I would think McCaffrey's somewhere around the 10, 12 touches mark. And if the Niners are up early enough, big enough, then they just scale back.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think he'll get a little bit more than 10 touches, but I was one of those people in Pittsburgh saying, he got way too many touches. But this game was completely different. I mean, he got less touches in this game, and it seemed like he needed to have more touches in this type of game than last game. Last game, they were winning by, 20, 30 points in the third quarter, and like he's still playing in the fourth quarter, getting like 3 or 4 carries in a drive. That was kind of the point I was making last week. I think this week it's fine. But yeah, no, it's a short week. I mean, if Kyle Shanahan doesn't use Elijah Mitchell this week, I mean, what are we doing?
That's what I'm like. I don't really have a prediction because I can't really predict Kyle with this stuff. But it seems like if he doesn't use Mitchell this week, he's not going to.
Yeah.
For the rest of the season.
I know it does.
Injury.
It definitely makes you wonder. Couple things interesting. Jack Hammer tweets out Niner injuries from the game. Ambry Thomas has a knee injury. He did return. Diamador Lenore had a concussion. He also came back in the game. Brandon Ayuk had a shoulder injury, and he also returned. By the way, the Niners have won 9 straight regular season games against the Rams. But I'll throw it out to you guys because it is Ram week. If you owned your own team, and there's only 2 head coaches on the planet you could hire, and one of them's Shanahan and the other's McVay, who you hiring? Shanahan's got McVay head-to-head. McVay's got 2 Super Bowl appearances and a Super Bowl win to his credit. Shanahan's still searching for that Super Bowl win number 1. Who you hiring between McVay and Shanahan? Who is the better coach?
Shanahan.
I think it's Shanahan. I mean, yeah.
Don't say Kapler. Kev?
No, I'll go Shanahan. I think his offense is just a tad bit better.
Listen, I can't make this unanimous. I think this is really freaking close. I think we're talking about 2 top 5 coaches in all of the NFL. But in my opinion, I think Sean McVay is more of a leader. If I'm going X's and O's, like just offense, I would take Shanahan. But the totality of the coaching position, how you need to galvanize a group of men, and just like from a leadership perspective, I think McVay has him beat. And just because I don't think it should be unanimous because these 2, I think they're both elite coaches, I'll say McVay. He's got the Super Bowl. He's the one with the
I think
Super Bowl.
Shanahan's a better, more innovative offensive mind, but I do think that McVay's leadership is pretty awesome, and I think this year he's kind of proving. I think he's going to show this year. You guys said it. I mean, I think the Rams in Vegas are, a 4 or 5 win team, and I think they're probably going to win more like 8 or 9. It wouldn't surprise me. And I just think that he's coaches with a different style when he has different personnel. I don't know. I think I love Kyle's offense and I love his play calling. I think him and Reed, I think are the preeminent offensive play callers in the sport. But as far as leadership, man, McVay, I'm a big McVay fan.
I got to throw a challenge flag. I got to throw a challenge flag on something in the comments. Somebody said McVay created more players. Like the Rams, like that Super Bowl team was the most highly leveraged, traded for roster. Like, sure, Donald was already there when he got there. They traded for Stafford. They traded for all these receivers.
Jalen Ramsey. They OBJ.
Yeah, the Super Bowl team had Goff, to be fair, but
no. But the one they won.
Oh,
yeah.
And then like the Niners are. I mean, honestly, they don't really go out and get. I mean, their entire team for the most part is homegrown. I mean, now with Purdy as quarterback, like literally their entire team, basically.
The only thing I would say is just logic tells me. Now, I don't know this I have no idea, right? We have no idea. The Niners make these selections. How many of them are Kyle's picks? How many of them are Peter's picks? How many of them were Jed? How many from the scouts? How many from Lynch? I don't know. But if you want to look at the Niner run where they've missed and it's burned them, it's Trey Lance, third pick overall. It's Jalen Hurd. It's Dante Pettis. It's Joe Williams. It's C.J. Beathard in the third round. It's an awful lot of offensive guys that they traded up for, and I just kind of wonder if Shanahan, how good is his eye for talent at the end of the day? Where I think in L.A., McVay, I don't think it's drafting. I think it's a Les Snead show. In San Francisco, I think Kyle's got the final word. I think he's probably pushed for some of those offensive guys. I don't know that, but I mean, what are the odds that your offensive play caller head coach is not having a major say when you're trading up for offensive players on day 1 or day 2 of the draft? He's probably getting his hand-picked guys, and his hand-picked guys are bombs. Pettis is a bomb.
A lot of duds there in the offensive side of the draft.
High up, too, in the first 4 rounds of the draft. But he also hit on Kittle.
Yeah, their first draft.
Ayuk's a good one.
Their
Debo.
First draft, they had Solomon Thomas. Who's their worst high draft? Is it Solomon Thomas or is it Trey?
Well, until he proves otherwise, I'd say it's Trey, right?
I think it's Thomas, personally.
Thomas is still playing, though, and with the Jets. But
that was the draft. They could have taken Mahomes or Watson.
Oh, they could have taken anybody. I mean, they could have taken Lattimore. They could have taken, there's all kinds of guys there. Yeah. Here, the rule of thumb there is don't draft a guy because you took a class with him at Stanford and you kind of like him.
What's up with this? How is Pettis a bum? He's better than you. The audacity of you dudes. Like, yeah, dude, he set the record for the Pac-12.
What? Where's that? Who said that?
Ezekiel Judah. How is Pettis a bum? He's better than you. The audacity of you.
He better be. He plays in
the NFL.
He plays
Ezekiel.
No one's saying that.
He wasn't better than me in my day.
Yeah.
I'm a 53-year-old guy with 4 kids. Every time I'm critical of one of these guys, I hope you don't think I'm saying that I could do it better.
I just had back surgery last month. I'm still better than Pettis.
The Niners defensive lineman, their defensive end, because Larry Krueger was critical of Cleveland Farrell, is Larry Krueger, who runs out there. He looks, guys, I'm saying this guy looks about 53, and he's about 6'1", 240, and it's not good weight. He's not really getting anything done. I think they may need to blitz a little bit more if they're going to have Krueger coming off the edge. Come on, Ezekiel. Of course, Dante Pettis is better than us. They're all better than us.
Oh, gosh.
Okay, that's a wrap on the show. Thanks to everybody for coming. That's good. We can't. Come on.
We lost our credibility, man. They're all better than us. Hey,
you don't.
Trey,
how dare you ever tell Kapler who to pinch hit, Danny? Unless you're going to get in there and pinch hit yourself.
Exactly. Speaking of Trey, Larry, where did Trey Swilling come from? I didn't know
that's Pat Swilling's kid.
I know it's Pat Swilling.
They got yesterday. They called him off the practice squad.
Okay, because
and he had a good camp, but I mean that to me, if you're leaning on Trey Swilling, I think it's going to be rough. To be honest,
I would hope that on the practice squad for Thursday night, I would like to see him. We talked about CMC getting the lower carries. Bring up TDP and have 4 backs, and just you're going to get up on the Giants. You're going to run the ball a lot. Have 3 guys in the backfield besides McCaffrey to split that up. It's a short week, man. You don't want your guys.
I would too. I would somehow figure out. I don't know if I could have. I might have to choose between these guys, but I'm definitely getting my number 2 and number 3 running back on the field in that game.
Gosh, yes.
McCaffrey's getting more touches than you guys are expecting.
No, you're probably right. You're probably right, but is it
like 17.
Just because you're right doesn't mean it's right? You know what I mean? You may be
That's
right,
true.
but I'm not
That's
saying
true.
it's right.
I'm expecting it because Kyle is not going to want to take him off the field. He's
No, I know.
He's got to think long term, though.
Of the running
He's got to
back
think
touches
long
at
term,
least.
man.
This is a team that wants to play, meaningful games in January and February. So, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Personally, I mean, there's a lot of time between now and then you can freshen them up. But maybe you know what? I'll say this. I was in camp every day this summer. Mason put the ball on the carpet, 3, 4, 5 times, and he did it in the preseason. Maybe they're worried about Mason's fumbling. But if you're that worried about a guy's fumbling, then get another freaking guy. I mean, seriously, you can't just have guys on the roster just for the heck of it. Cabarrojo says the D-line pushes the quarterback to perform in the top 5. How many are like Stanford?
I think you mean Stafford, right?
Oh, Stafford.
Oh, Stafford.
Yeah.
Thought
It's
we were
true.
actually
I
talking.
mean,
Hey, by the way, Stingers up. My Sac State
yeah.
Hornets
Beat Stanford, right?
took down Stanford. Stanford this.
Whoa,
Lombardi. Dave Lombardi, if you're out there. Yeah. Stanford. All right.
I thought I heard that all the
I
Sac
didn't see that. They
went
Sac
Stingers
State
up.
beat
Stingers
Stanford?
up.
Sac State beat Stanford, and Troy, the coach from Sac State who played at QB at Cal.
What are you trying to say? The fix?
No, I'm just saying
Because
maybe-
he coached at Sac State last year.
Yeah, I know. He was
Couldn't even
good.
beat his former team.
Wow.
Green Glass Full Guy says, all Cone's talking is how Brock Purdy has no deep ball. Shaking my damn head. Is that what that is? What's the SMDH?
Yeah, shaking my
Damn.
dick head. Oh, sorry.
All right.
He's just taking a pee.
All right.
Sorry.
We got this one from Green Glass Full. How about that barking match between, by the way, CMC and Ahkello Witherspoon? Yeah, they were asking CMC about it, and he's like, they just made up some lie in the post game. They're like, yeah, I just said, hey, how's your day going? And he said it was good to see you.
I
And,
love when they do that. I love when it's like they're like yelling at each other. It's like, what did you say? It's like, oh, we were just talking. It's like, what? Like, no, you weren't.
Yeah, seriously.
Kyle did that this summer.
Witherspoon
Yeah,
is
that's
so
right.
soft.
Oh, we love
I'm
each other.
sorry. Witherspoon is soft. When he was playing for the Niners, numerous times I saw him have the chance to actually lay the lumber, put a hit
you
on
think
somebody.
you're better than Witherspoon, dude?
Wait,
Dude,
you hit
I-
harder than
I will-
Witherspoon?
Yeah.
Run over Ahkello Witherspoon. Ahkello Witherspoon, bring it, because I know you want nothing to do with anything
no smoke.
physical. Anything that requires some physicality, Witherspoon wants no part of. So that was like the biggest fake tough guy act when I see Ahkello Witherspoon barking at anybody, because he's all bark, no bite.
By the way, this is the third time the Niners have started 2-0 under Shanahan. 2019, they went to the Super Bowl, lost. 2021, they started 2-0. They lost the NFC Championship game. We shall see how this year ends.
Yeah, we need
By the
Bauer
way-
back out there in the secondary. We need another Jason Seahorn.
Get me out there.
And there's Eric Price with a tackle. Nick Wagner has tweeted out, he says, Christian McCaffrey has 268 rushing yards through the first 2 games. That is the second most in 49ers franchise history through the opening pair of games. Can you name the running back who holds the mark with 325 yards in his first 2 games with the 49ers?
Is it Carlos Hyde?
No, it's not Carlos Hyde.
Wait, is it
But he has
the guy from
Garrison
Georgia?
Hurst.
Hurst, yeah, Hurst, the guy from
Garrison
Georgia.
Hurst, 1998.
I got it.
Look at you
I
guys.
couldn't remember his name. I just knew. I was like, Gosh, it's drawing a blank.
Garrison Hurst was a beast before. It was
Yes.
a knee injury, right? That kind of
Yeah.
slowed him down. But Garrison Hurst was a monster.
I love watching Garrison Hurst play.
By the way, we do have McCaffrey here. I'm going to play this for you guys. Wait a second. All right. Wrong one. Wrong button. All right. I'm going to share the screen here. Play this off Twitter for you guys. This is McCaffrey. And let's see.
Some back and forth after that with you.
This is McCaffrey being asked about Witherspoon.
There's some back and forth after that with you and Keller Witherspoon. What was being said there?
What's up, man? Like, good to see you. Just casualties, just casual conversation.
Why does Mayoko always ask some of the just the corniest questions? I mean, you get set up, man. You set those guys up to give you a smart ass answer.
just a real nice little back and forth. I asked him where they're going for Thanksgiving. He
How's
said
the
they're going to
kids?
the in-laws. He was asking me where we're going to trick or treat. I told him. GTC Reels says, Larry, how about Debo's fumble? Is that challengeable? Yeah. What did you guys think on that play? I mean,
I thought the ball may have touched out of bounds before you guys recovered it, even if it was a fumble. It didn't give a very good angle of a camera, but from the angle I saw, it looked like the tip of the ball, maybe it hit the white.
I got worried because I thought once you call a timeout, they can review it, right?
They can.
Yeah.
They can, yeah.
I thought there was a chance that they were going to change that call because Purdy called the timeout because he couldn't get the play in.
we get this one from, I don't know the answer to that. Stephen Pryor says, absolutely ridiculous. McCaffrey is being played in the fourth with this running back room. I'm a Shanahan fan, but if CMC gets injured in the fourth, it's literally a Super Bowl win or fired for me. Black and white, zero tolerance. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of people that, I mean, you know, you got to remember what you can answer for. Now, if you're going to lose a game, then leave them out there. But, I mean, when the game's decided, get your money off the field. Get your guys off the field. You're the coach. They're the players. I don't care what they want. I really don't. And unless this guy's passing Walter Payton for the all-time rushing record, I don't really care about any of the individual things either. You play to win the game. It's a team game. You want to play in January, you know, for sure. If you make it to the Super Bowl and you're lucky enough, it's going to be like February 10th. I mean, literally months and months from now, and you got a can full of backs. I mean, if you were Dallas, if you look at Dallas has Tony Pollard. If Tony Pollard goes down, it's like Rico Dowdell time, right? I mean, they got nothing. I mean, they got nobody. The Niners have multiple backs that got drafted in fantasy sitting on the bench. In the fantasy league, J.P. Mason's on a team. Elijah Mitchell's on a team. So don't tell me these guys are just schleps. They're not. They're big-time guys. So get them out there. I mean, that's the way I look at it. Not only would I get them out there, I'd get them out there in more of a rotation and mix it up a little bit. But, you know, there's no question that CMC looks primed for a career year, and maybe that's how Kyle is popular with some of the players because he feeds them the ball and they get their bonuses or whatever. But it just doesn't seem smart, especially when against the Rams.
I think in the fourth quarter when they were up 30-20, they weren't trying to score. They weren't trying to score. They were trying to run the clock. That's when you bring in
get somebody
Mitchell.
else to run the clock.
Yeah, that's the weirdest thing. When you're running the clock, why are you using CMC?
Yeah, you're just running the clock. Just give it to Mitchell. Mitchell doesn't.
Or give it to Juice.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he was. I'm looking at his snap counts. Like he was. I remember he was insanely used in Carolina for a couple years there. So his rookie year, he was 70%. He played 70% of the snaps. Then it went up to 91. That's kind of insane. Then 93. Then 77. Oh, that's the year he got hurt. And then 60%. That's another year he got hurt. And then last year, he was in 6 games, 85% for the Panthers, and then 68% only for the Niners, actually.
Well, the first few games, he was learning the offense, so he didn't play as much.
So is he like the Niners? If the Niners have the best division or record in the NFC, is McCaffrey the MVP candidate? Like,
He keeps playing like this.
Yeah.
I mean, they
Yeah,
haven't
I mean,
lost a game with him playing yet, right? They
If
haven't lost-
Ayuk, doesn't play, it could be Ayuk. I mean, coming into this game, I thought Ayuk was the guy. A couple more supers. Mark Hope says, "Sup, guys? What's up, Mark? Good to see you, Mark." Mark Hope also dropping this one. He's emptying the clip here. He says, I'll go to Kyle Shanahan for better head coach, but Mr. Les Snead is up 1-0 on Lynch. So he'd rather have Shanahan than McVay, but he'd rather have Snead than Lynch. Okay.
I saw somebody in the chat about 30 minutes ago said, mark it down, something like that. Jonathan Taylor, the Rams will trade for Jonathan Taylor. That sounds like a Les Snead move.
It does. I mean, that's so Rams. Mark Hope's his baller's stash, though. Let's fucking go. Damn. I mean, you're looking like Arthur Smith of the Falcons right there. Have you guys seen Arthur Smith's stash?
Arthur Smith, that guy, he loves to run the ball, that guy, doesn't he?
He is kind
Oh,
of
he
a
does.
dumb face. Like when he went for that fourth down, like I don't
He's
know.
the palest
He's got a
dude I've ever
dumb-looking
seen,
face.
Arthur Smith. Palest
Couple
dude.
more supers, and we got a guy in the green room. Kalba Kamiga says, missed most of the show. I'm sure you guys discussed Drake Jackson's high motor. He has some nice plays, reading a screen, making an upfield tackle. Also, Jake Moody exudes confidence. Go Niners. Yeah, I talked to Jake this week. He does seem like a pretty cool guy. And Drake, Drake is, Drake just needs to find the ball and play hard. If he finds the ball and plays hard on this team, he is going to make a ton of plays. I think I read this one before. All Cone's talking is how Brock Purdy has no deep ball. Okay, we already got that one. We got this one right here from Glass Half Full Guy. Random question. Why can't the Thursday night games get pushed to Friday night to give the players another day to recover? I've always wondered that.
High school football.
Yeah, they really, Danny's right. It's really about trying to stay out of the high school window,
You want those fans.
Yeah, there you go. Eric Hernandez with this nice comment. He says, Larry eats too many sausages and barbecue. All right.
That's not possible.
Seriously. And that would be a perfect time to say that we are brought to you by Pig in a Pickle, the best barbecue in Northern California. And the only kind of Italian sausage that I will eat is New York style Italian sausage. And on that note, we welcome in Damon Bruce, who's in the green room. D. Bruce has just finished his own post-game extravaganza, and he comes over to give us his perspective. Damon, good to see you. Tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., Damon and I will be on the Palmetto 49er recap show, which you're going to get the day after the 49er game, every single 49er game this year. So that means we'll be with you tomorrow morning at 8, and then we'll be doing the quick turnaround Thursday for our Friday morning after the Thursday nighter at 8. Damon, good to see you. Brought to you by Palmetto Superfoods.
Good to see you, Larry.
Asi to you.
Asi to you. Puka Nakua to all of you this afternoon. Seriously.
Hakuna Matata.
Yeah, Dan, Kevin, Baller, Ryan, good to see all you guys. Larry, thanks again for having me in after I wrapped up over on my channel. I always love to dip in with you. You were just talking about, again, all the Pig in the Pickle delicious barbecue. Start a healthy week with 49ers Wake Up and an acai bowl from Palmetto Superfoods. And someone's like, you guys should have called the show Red Dawn. Yeah, that might have even been a better name, Red Dawn. But 49ers Wake Up. And Larry, we're talking about a 2-0 football team tomorrow morning. I want to, I hate to work and be inspired by the negative, but I couldn't help but notice the very most common first half complaint was, man, Steve Wilks is having a bad first half, bad game for Steve Wilks. Steve Wilks might not be the guy. Steve Wilks is getting undressed. Steve Wilks this, Steve Wilks that. Steve Wilks' name is trending. And I'm sure Steve Wilks would tell you that wasn't a great first half. But what it was an offensive clinic of the first degree by both head coaches who know what they're doing, have two quarterbacks functioning at the highest of levels. Was there a better brand of defense you would like to see an established 49ers defensive team play? Sure. I'll give you that much. There's a high standard around here. That was A+. You had the most A-plus offensive efficiency half I think you might see in any football game this year. Stafford didn't miss a throw. Purdy didn't miss a throw. Everyone was blocking and executing, and I mean, like it was beautiful.
I think what people don't realize is that if teams have to defend against everything on every play. There's a chance you're going up top. There's a chance you're going to throw a deep post. And if you're willing to kind of take what the defense gives you and keep, play pitch and catch underneath, there's going to be a certain amount of we're going to let you do that. You know what I mean? And then we're going to tighten up at certain moments. But after I watched that Ram Seahawk all 22 in week 1, I thought, guess what? This is going to be very hard to stop. Because they don't take shots down the field. They've got a quarterback with a lightning release with an awesome velocity on the ball and guys who run almost near perfect safe routes all within 5 to 7 yards of the line of scrimmage, and they're not even trying to turn their shoulders and look upfield. It's all like little comebackers to the quarterback, and it's like impossible to stop that. And if I thought to myself, are they going to try to nickel and dime and beat the Niners up with 1,000 paper cuts? And that's kind of that's kind of their game. That's kind of all they got.
What you saw today.
Credit McVay. They did a nice job of executing.
You saw the perfect offensive game plan to slow down the 49ers defensive line. And for anyone who wants to say, McVay just showed the entire league how to go ahead and slow the 49ers down defensively, you might be right. But what most of those coaches won't have is Sam Bradford, who has an arm that, was kissed by God on the day he was born, has one of the best arms in the history of football. Absolute cannon. He was throwing lasers today.
You mean Stafford?
Yeah, Stafford. What did I say? I'm so
sorry. You
called
him Sam Bradford.
Oh, God. Again, I keep on saying Bradford. Stafford. Yes, that is. I probably called him Bradford 10 times on my show. But, dude, Stafford was fantastic today. He really was. And Brock Purdy was really good. And even as Stafford was being fantastic, he still throws 2 interceptions. This shit is hard. This shit is all really, really hard. And the Niners have got to be thrilled to not just be 2-0, but a very healthy 2-0. We'll see what Brandon Ayuk looks like on a short week. I know he got a little beat up today. But basically, these were 2 really good wins without a butcher's bill that leaves your locker room looking for answers in your depth chart early in the year. So a fantastic start for the 49ers.
Yeah. I mean, like anything, there's bad wins and good losses. A bad win would be what the Jets had in week 1, right? They got the win, but they lost Aaron Rodgers for the year. It's a bad win. A good loss might be a game where, you played really, really well, but you just didn't come away with the win. The Niners have gotten two really good wins where they won the games. They played clean football. They're not a mess on offense. They look pretty buttoned down. On defense, they're playing a smart game. Bosa's yet to really get it rolling. They may have a little weakness in the secondary. We'll see as time goes on. I don't like the fact that they lost Deshaun Jameson at the end of camp and now have lost Samuel Womack for a month and a half or 2 months. But overall, I like what I've seen from the 49ers. I mean, the rookie kicker looks really good. Ray as a return man looks really like veteran and confident and trustworthy. They've got a big-time rush, and they've got a little bit better athletes on the backside than they've had in the past. And they've got 3 weapons that look all primed for a big season. And you know what? Nobody would have said anything. Nobody would have blinked twice if Aaron Donald just made a huge impact on this game. The Niner offensive line, which seems like we only discuss when they play poorly or when there's some obvious, TJ Watt had 3 sacks, caused a fumble. How about that? Was Aaron Donald even out there? Byron Young's really talented. They have some talent on defense in their front 7. It was like the Niner offense totally negated everything, any pressure the Rams could bring. 2 games in, the Niner offense looks, I don't want to say unstoppable because they're not unstoppable, but they've got a quarterback that makes good decisions. who wasn't particularly great today, but he made good decisions. He doesn't get flustered. They got a bunch of weapons.
Another 30
Their line's good enough. I don't know if
Another
it's
30
great, but it's good
yeah.
enough.
Another
The
30
O
spot.
line has vastly outperformed my expectations. Going back, diving into the film last week,
Yeah.
Aaron Banks looks like an all-pro left guard. Jake Brendel, I thought, played really well. Talking Spencer Burford, I know he had a couple flags last week, but I thought he was a wall. This offensive line, I think, is really good. When you look across the league, no offensive line has 5 stars, okay? No offensive line's going to hold up for 3 seconds every snap. But this O-line, I don't think they're getting enough credit. I think today they played exceptionally well. Last week, I know McKivitz, let TJ Watt get by him a couple times. But last week, I thought they played really well. So this offensive line is playing good and vastly outperforming my expectations through 2 games.
Glass half full guy says, I don't care for Mark Sanchez as a broadcaster. I don't get it. I really don't get it. Mark Sanchez literally said 2 or 3 comments that made it sound like he either had $20 on the Rams,
It sounds
or he's
like
like
a
a
hater.
or he's like
He's
a
hating.
Rams season ticket holder, or he's like,
Yeah.
or
Trying to be
he
Mr.
does he
LA.
own 1% of the franchise? I mean, there was one play where it was like, oh, penalty on the Rams. He's like, oh, like
Yeah.
he literally
Yeah.
sounded like a guy who was rooting for the Rams.
Yeah.
Now I
My
know he
wife
went to
picked up
SC,
on
but
that.
dude,
My wife said,
so
What's
what?
up with this announcer? It sounds like he's pulling for the Rams. I said, I know. It's Mark, Mr. Butt Fumble.
and he didn't even play for the or did he play for the Rams? No, he played for the Jets.
Yeah.
Did he may who knows? I mean, I don't
Come
follow
on
the
later.
Mark Sanchez football card. Maybe he played for the Rams for 5 seconds. But I mean, he
He's all
literally
about
said
LA.
a couple times today, he's like something, it was like something negative about the Rams. He's like, oh, that's I was like, dude, what? Why you do understand you're supposed to be unbiased. I mean, that was so bizarre. That was such a weird one. Mark Hope says, I love Dan and Baller's old school 49er logos in the background. Larry's UK flag, not so much, LOL. Of course, Mark is coming from the UK.
Mark Sanchez is from Long Beach, California.
He's
Yeah.
from
Oh,
Long
yeah.
Beach.
And he's never played for the Rams.
He
He's
just,
all-
he
he's
just
all
roots for
about-
them.
He's all about Southern California. I mean, they showed him on Fox there at the LA Coliseum for NASCAR. Like, oh, I go to this, I go to that. He's all LA. Yeah, he was pulling.
It's kind of
for
like,
them.
have you ever driven around and you listen to Fox Sports Radio? It'll be like a random weekend in March, and you'll catch like Fox Sports Radio, and they'll do like an entire segment on the Lakers, and you'll be like, wait a second, isn't this Fox Sports Radio? Like, yeah, but they're based in LA, so yeah, so what? They pretend. I don't tune into ESPN Radio and hear UConn women's hoop. Yeah, I mean,
Let's just
come
be
on.
totally honest. You don't tune into ESPN Radio.
Yeah,
You do it
exactly.
right there. It's just-
Exactly.
Yeah, just
Well,
listen to Larry and the Blues.
Yeah, since we're talking about shitty radio, Damon, Larry, we've got 2 legends in the game. So what is the interesting angle to talk about this week? Because as far as I can see, I mean, there's really nothing controversial in these first 2 games, just pretty handedly, won both.
That's a great question. Yeah, what is the what would you guys say?
Outrage.
That's the thing.
What-
It's gonna be hard to work the outrage machine. It's gonna be it's gonna be a tough week for your buddy Grant Cohn, because there's not a lot of outrage. Did Brock Purdy miss a couple of open throws? He did.
There'll be people that will be banging on that, I'm
He
sure.
can't throw the deep ball. All he does is dink and dunk, and you get that stupid crowd, just ignoring the fact that he's undefeated as a starter in this league. Can't hit the deep ball is all they're focused on. Hasn't thrown an interception yet this season, by the way, so that won't even be brought up. No, there's not a lot to complain about. I mean, it really is as good of a 2-0 start based on the fact that it's a 2-0 healthy start. It's a 2-0 healthy start coming in against a New York Giants team that put up 17 unanswered in the 4th against Arizona. So, like I was saying with you, Larry, earlier, I wanted the Giants to win that game. You don't want a desperate to survive 0-2 Giants team on Thursday night. You need just got a little equilibrium. We're 1-1, and we can kind of take a breath, and we won't be going back to New York 0-3. Worst case, it's 1-2, so we can live through that.
Exactly. You got one you probably shouldn't have got. Now you go into this game. Hey, we're a little more satisfied.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting too. The Niners struggle. I mean, we all know, we've all been watching the Niners. The Niners struggle against mobile quarterbacks, and Daniel Jones, is a mobile quarterback. I mean, today he ran 9 times for almost 60 yards, over 6 yards a pop. He had a rushing touchdown. So, Jalen Hyatt, the rookie from Tennessee, caught 2 balls for 89 yards. The Giants have Darren Waller, Isaiah Hodgins from Berean High School here in Walnut Creek.
No,
he got in the end zone today. Saquon is obviously. Oh, did he get hurt?
He's out.
Yeah,
He's out.
yeah.
Oh, well, then maybe it's the Matt Breida show.
The cheetah, look out. So if Larry,
That's a show. That's a blow.
You and I are going to have the 49ers wake up tomorrow, and to me, the lead story of this game was how good Fred Warner was when he needed to be. Fred Warner was spectacular out there, and I thought he made the biggest play of the game with that sack on Stafford on 3rd down when they had just kicked the Moody long field goal, and they're up 3, and they get the ball right back from Stafford because Fred Warner records the biggest sack of the afternoon. And then you saw just, it start to unravel a little bit for the Rams. Is Isaiah Oliver now out of the doghouse? Is he about to
He played very well in the second half, didn't he?
So
He did. So that was good. Deommodore Lenoir is the one guy who might have, kept him in the doghouse. Lenoir had a good game, I thought, today. Hufanga was really good today. And on a day where the defensive line didn't eat, it didn't prevent the rest of this defense from getting its job done situationally. It wasn't a great day all 4 quarters for the 49ers defense, but situationally on a couple of 3rd downs in particular, they needed to step up. They made a play. They did. And Steve Wilkes, for a guy who didn't have a great afternoon as a coach, dialed up the right blitz here and there when he needed to. I thought Isaiah Oliver shooting that gap on 4th and 2 to basically snuff out any real chance. And clearly McVay, bet on this game. Why is he kicking the field goal there at the end of the game?
I know that was very dubious. That was very dubious. I had the Niners on the teaser, so it didn't bother me. But if you had the Niners, because what was the final? They won by 7, but weren't there a lot of didn't the number hover around 7 in the hook? Was it
7.5? I think
7.5. It opened 8.5 after.
Yeah.
But
the
there was a buyback on the Rams as the week went on.
massive, yeah.
Yeah. So it was 8.5, but got to 7, but I don't know what it ultimately went off at. But if you got 7.5, you're walking out of that place, beating people up. The Niners were +2 in turnovers. I will say this, it's funny. It's like, is this, let me ask it this way. Do you come away from this game more encouraged or discouraged about Brock Purdy? From the standpoint of, you're encouraged because it clearly wasn't one of his best games. He missed 3 or 4 or more deep balls, but they still scored 30 points on the road, in a divisional matchup against, the best defensive lineman of his era. Or do you look at this and do you look at that as like, okay, so 30 is kind of like the new baseline for the Niner offense. They're going to score 30 even when Brock's not going. Or do you look at this and say, and that could be a positive. Or do you look at this and go, oh, Brock can't make the deep ball throw. His deep ball accuracy's not there. And against better teams, they'll burn them. Or do you just look at this as like, hey, you know what? He didn't have a great game and they still scored 30. And look at if he had connected on, some small percentage of some of those deep balls, maybe they would have scored 40 on the road. What do you guys think? I mean, where are you with Purdy? Are you encouraged because even in his bad game they scored 30 points, or are you discouraged because, man, he missed some deep balls?
I mean, if that's his bad game, like this guy is an insane quarterback because just his calmness, like that early when that play when Ayuk got injured, he was in the pocket. Aaron Donald was like inches from him, and he looked like he was completely calm. Like it looked like nothing was really bothering him, and he was like that the entire game. I thought the sneaks were cool. I worry a little bit about them not having Jimmy for the sneaks, but Brock's just gaining like 4 yards per sneak. And ultimately, I mean, yeah, it would be nice to have those 3 deep balls, but every time it mattered, he hit everything. And I mean, that end of the first half, that was unreal.
You're just thinking exactly what I was thinking, Rye. I'll tell you that first half, I was just looking at this, got it up right here, the whole drive. That was the key to the game, in my opinion, because had they not taken it down and scored, the Rams opened up the second half coming out with a 7-point lead. What happens if the Rams, just dial up some, score and go up 2 scores? Now it's a whole different game. I just thought the way, the poise that he did, I thought he made only one mistake on that drive. When he got it down to the Rams 20, he was looking over to Kyle like, I need the play. It was first, they just got a first down. I was just go up and spike it because it was like 20 seconds left or something, and they ran it down. I thought that showed a little bit of inexperience there. That was the only point I was critical of that drive, is just go up and spike it. But he was like so dependent on Kyle to get the play, and that I think a 3-4 year veteran of Brock Purdy would have just gone up and spiked it.
I think he will develop into that guy. I do think that that's coming, but right now he knows that his best way to stay in the good graces is to chef Kyle Shanahan as much as possible. Look, Brock Purdy hasn't even completed his rookie year. He's not even halfway through it. He started 7 games for the 49ers. To be anything other than wildly encouraged by anything you're seeing is the most nitpicking on a scale of you might not even be able to know what you're talking about in terms of big picture or anything. It's ridiculous. If you're used to living in a world where you invent a Madden player and push all of his skills to 99, and that is your standard of normal football, then yeah, it's really hard to live up to that standard. But any sort of standard of normal football being played in the NFL, Brock Purdy has not just met those standards, he's so far and away exceeded them. To complain about a couple of overthrows when every single quarterback has a couple of overthrows every single week. I watched Patrick Mahomes have 3 overthrows today as well, or underthrows, or not perfect throws, and an interception. These things happen. We just watched just last week, Buffalo with Josh Allen, whose ballyhooed is one of the best quarterbacks in all of football, shit to bed. We've seen Joe Burrow play like an absolute pedestrian who just met his football team on the mornings he's played with them, looked like a normal human being. Brock Purdy, again, I want to get this right. Brock Purdy today started his 7th NFL game. He started his 7th game.
In the regular season, you mean?
In the regular season. Yeah, that's what we're talking about when we talk about these stats. He started 7.
He's really 9-0. He's 9-0, and he got knocked out of the Eagle game.
Right.
9-1.
He's never lost a game that he started and finished. Never.
Right.
You can criticize him for missing the deep ball, but I mean, it was the right read. I mean, if you saw the replay, if you watched it back, those were some of those were touchdowns. Yeah. So,
and
I
they
mean,
weren't
if he's going to make
much.
that play in the future, then they're going to score 40.
Well, we talk endlessly. You notice the other thing, guys, we talk so much in our society about ceiling. Nobody ever discusses floor.
Yeah.
But this probably is his floor. And if this is his floor, this guy is pretty freaking good. And then let's also mention this. Rob Stats Guerrera tweets this out. And Stats has been accused of being negative at times, but here he's being very glowing and positive. He says the 49ers have won 12 straight regular season games. That's the second longest streak in the history of the franchise. They've scored 30 points or more in 9 of those 12 regular season games. So they're nine of their last 12 regular season games. Today, their quarterback did not throw a touchdown, and Bosa has yet to have a sack in 2023, and yet they're 2-0. He says life is good, people enjoy. It's almost like we got to remind people.
Incessant complaining, though, has so been programmed into a generation of people who learned how to talk about sports by watching Skip Bayless stick his own dick in his mouth every morning for the last 15, 20 years. And that's the problem with sports. Someone, like I just saw somebody on your text here, who was it? But they're like, Brock is mid. Stop simping. What the fuck are you talking about? He's undefeated as a starter. He's never lost a game in which he started and finished. He's off to the best passing rating in the history of football. If this shit isn't good enough for you, you should not be allowed in the conversation with the adults.
He's a Twins fan. Brock is mid. Stop simping.
You're really, dude. If all you appreciate are Egg McMuffins, don't bother going to French Laundry. You're not going to get it. The whole thing's going to wash over you. You're not going to get it. You don't know what excellence is. Don't even try it on for size.
I really think that the theory I've come up with is just a lot of 49ers content creators are only locked on the Niners. That's it. They're locked on the Niners.
So they don't have perspective, you're saying. They lack the national perspective.
Now, they may watch a little Red Zone, but what does Red Zone show you? It shows you Justin Herbert make an amazing play. It doesn't show you any of the bad stuff. It only shows you the highlights, and then obviously people look at box scores, and then they look on social media for all of the big, crazy highlight plays. But then they just watch only the Niners quarterback and just break every little tiny thing down until they can find a little crack. But honestly,
it's sad.
I'm
Brandon.
happy.
Look at Brendan Dillinger. Brock Purdy's Jeff Driscoll.
Look
Look at TC. Brock Purdy is Case Keenum. I mean, come on. I mean, seriously.
But the thing is, we need these guys because, or else there's nothing to really rail against. Like these guys are actually helping out. Like what you guys were talking about. Like what's the topic? The topic is basically like if you're a Purdy hater at this point, then you don't know what you're saying. I
need Damon to go off on something tomorrow for Palmetto Superfoods. Damn it! And if he and believe me, DICK in the mouth is not going to be appreciated at the Acai Bowl house. I'm telling you right now, people are not going to want that near their mouth when they're thinking about putting acai near their mouth.
Fair enough.
Mark Hope says, "Dick in the mouth." Classic Damon. There we go.
Hey,
we get through a couple more.
You got mid fans. I got some opposite problem on my podcast. I got guys saying the Giants are going to run the table. I said they may run the table. They may lose the rest of their games.
Who's seriously? Who's paying? Who is that? Is that like Kai Correa? I mean, where's that coming from?
I got a guy named Robert Rothberg said that.
Oh, Robert Rothberg. My goodness. Guy, if he worked at McDonald's, he would be Grimace. Mark Hope says, "Sup, Damon? Any thoughts on Isaiah Oliver? I thought he balled out today."
He did. He had a great showing. And if Kyle, who said the reason why he was pulled off the field in Pittsburgh was, if you watch the tape, you'll see it too. I don't know what he's talking about. I didn't see it. What I saw today was a game that was put on tape that was very easy to interpret. He had a great game this afternoon, and he needed that. I think in Kyle's eyes, I think he needed it in the stature of his own teammates' eyes because, whatever Kyle says we missed on tape, I'm guessing they saw it, and it was bad enough for him to essentially get benched in week one. And he showed very, very well in week two. I'll tell you else, he continues to show well. It was one of our central worries, and maybe a legitimate worry because to worry about the unknown, the unproven, the untested is a decent place to park your concerns.
Don't say Dan. We're not concerned about Dan. He knew he logged in. He had the fantasy draft. The draft's already come and gone. You can't worry about Dan anymore.
I'm glad about Dan. I'm talking about Jake Moody. Jake Moody.
Jake Moody. All right. Go ahead.
Moody's got a leg, kids. That's a big leg right there, and he looks like a guy that you would draft maybe in the third round to come kick for your team for about a decade. It's a real nice start. I doubt it'll be perfect. And the minute it's imperfect, we're going to have a lot of people complaining. He missed a kick, everybody. Oh, my God.
All these people in the press box will be tweeting out, "Where's Robbie Gold right now?"
He's no Robbie. He's 7.
Hey, 57.
57.
Nice. Hey, and that thing had distance for 64. I'm telling you, it was
He
Booty
great.
has a
one-
leg, man.
Yeah, he kicked one this summer that was good from 63, and I was standing next to Grant, and I said, man, that would have been good from like 68. And he's like, yeah, I think so. I mean, it was like halfway up, and it went through. It was amazing. All right, okay, this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna roll these super chats. Then I want to roll around the room and get your if you were being hyper negative tomorrow on YouTube about the Niners. I want to hear your most hyper negative complaint that's going to get people in your chat. This is going to be an exercise. We'll do a little exercise. Damon's really good at it, but we won't let him go first. I'll make Kev go first. All right, here we go. Let me read some of these super chats. MF says, not Niners, but hope Ned Coletti gets a call from the Red Sox ownership for the GM gig. Seems really knowledgeable. Oh, come on. Are you kidding me, MF? He's the most knowledgeable. We got this one from Mark Hope. It says, Bosa isn't in shape. He was on the sideline sucking wind in the first quarter, but I thought Dr. Dre and Warner stepped up and made plays. Thoughts on the D-line? Hey, Rye, what's new? Love you, Brosif. There you go. Mark Hope. So a little shout out to Rye. It's like an FM DJ. A little shout out. The Shaw says, let's spend some of that $41 million and get another pass rusher and another defensive back. Yeah, well, we'll wait until late October and we'll see where that goes. We got this one from Calba. Calba, good to see. He says, not discouraged on those missed deep balls. They were all the right reads, and he was under some duress. He'll fix those. Maybe he's pining for Danny Gray once he's healthy. Amazing. Okay, good one there from Calba. Mark Hope, another one here, says, dick in the mouth, classic Damon. We read that before, but heck, what the heck? It's worthy. It's worthy of reading twice.
Yeah, worthy of twice.
And it makes me proud that my son is on this stream. The coach is in the house. He said, you guys are nothing without Kev. Pay homage to the GOAT. Look at the coach.
There he is.
The coach
Me and the
talking
coach.
up Kev.
Tight.
By the way, Kev's going to send you an invoice for all that advice he gave you. Mark Hope says, okay, Damon, I feel like the O is championship ready. My question for you is, can the GOT damn D get off the field when it counts? Can the goddamn D get off the field? I think that's what Mark was saying.
These bums.
These goddamn bums.
What's wrong with Nick Bosa? 888 ANBR.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, okay.
957-955-557-5955. What's wrong with the Niners? 2-0.
Yeah, seriously. Sarah says, and Sarah, I can't pronounce your last name, but it says
I think
the
it's
domestic goddess. Oh, there we go.
The domestic
Sarah,
God.
the domestic goddess with no spaces in between. How about Brock's run in the touchdown in quarterback sneaks? Sorry if I missed you all addressing it. Go Niners and
If
money
Kyle
move.
had more confidence, he would put that ball in the air, that pussy.
Money Moody living up to his name. That's right. I asked him about his nickname. He's like, man, I go, I better make some kicks, huh? I mean, if I'm going to have a nickname like Money. I said, yeah, exactly. Mark Hope's his hyper negative take. Bosa is out of shape. There you go. Yeah, Bosa, who's got a six-pack and just, maybe I should, if I said that like 3 times, somebody would find that picture of me in the Warriors jersey that's super tight, and I'd get that right in my face.
It's like
Maybe
New York style sausage. It's stuffed in the casing.
Exactly. HB Nate says, when are we going to sign Bosa? Yeah, in other words, where's Bosa? You're
I
not.
wish you had that $2 back.
Yeah. Okay, well, we got this one too. We got this one. Did we read this before?
We did.
Oh, okay, we got that. Okay, and we get down to the bottom. Okay, let's go around the room. Your most hyper negative, like tomorrow, like you're either on YouTube, you're on radio, you're on television, and you know what? The program director walks in and goes, you know what? I can't stand all these suck up positive rah-rah people. Give me something. Give me something that's, a little edgy. Is there anything at all? Just don't get on the radio. Don't get on the air and just say this is love songs, nothing but love songs. There's got to be some grist for the mill. Who wants to go first?
Let me go first.
Baller.
This Steve Wilkes defense is soft. I thought it was way too much off coverage, too many 5-yard completions, 10-yard completions. Ambry Thomas, why don't you get up and challenge somebody? Diamador, get up in some press coverage. I thought the defense was soft. They're giving up too many easy yards. Puka, who the hell is a Puka with 15 catches? And let's get more aggressive. I want to see in your face, more of an aggressive style defense. Let's dial it up, Steve Wilks, because, hey, if Kyron Williams doesn't drop that pass, it turns into an interception. If Vance Jefferson could get some stickum and actually catch some of these balls, maybe the Rams have another 7 points or another 10 points. Hey, Steve Wilks, let's get a little more aggressive, huh?
There you go. I like it. I like it. Who wants to go? Kev?
My hot take would be, it's like you pay Nick Bosa $87 billion over 27 years, and he hasn't got a sack yet. You know, it's like, where's the production from Nick Bosa? I mean, that would be my hot take. It's like,
Not in
dude,
shape.
You overpaid for Bosa, Lynch.
I'm not saying he's not in shape, but where's the production? Where's the production from the D-line today? There's no production from the
No
D-line.
one's in shape.
Yeah.
The entire team's out of shape.
Bosa took the money and he shut it down. I'll tell you that right now. He took that money. He took that bag of money and he shut it down. Does that sound about right? Danny, come on. What do you got? You got to have some negative take.
Come on, let's go on the defensive line. You got a collection of first-round draft picks in Farrell and Kinlaw that don't show up at the games at all. What the heck are they carrying these guys for?
There you go. I like it. Rye?
Oh,
Can you get negative? Can you get negative? What's the negative take that somebody's going to have tomorrow that's like hyper negative? That's like it takes this game and the Niners start, and you're going to listen to this call and you'll be like, they did win, right? They are 2-0, aren't they? Right?
I mean, I guess you could say if you go back, I mean, Goff. I don't know if Goff ever had a good game versus the Niners D. And Stafford, all the other games he played versus the Niners, he had at least 2 picks, but actually played poorly. Today he played well, even though he threw the picks. But I mean, the offense was moving up and down the field. I think maybe the take is that unlike the other Niners teams that made deep runs under Kyle Shanahan, it's going to have to be the offense this year. The D is not going to be there to bail them out. And so because of that, is Brock Purdy really going to be enough to outduel, Mahomes, Stafford, Burrow, Josh Allen? And I just feel gross talking about that.
They're going to have to depend on Brock Moody.
Yeah, Brock.
Yeah, I mean, that would probably be mine too. It'd be like, hey, look, you think you're going to beat the Dallas Cowboys and Tony Pollard and Dak Prescott and the offense that they got cooking, and you're going to beat Devontae and A.J. Brown. You can't even stop Puka Papuka. You can't even stop Tutu to Tutu. You can't stop. The Rams just gouged your defense for almost 400 total yards, and you're going to beat Philly and Dallas with the money on the table with all the weapons that they got? They got real weapons. This isn't Puka and Atwell. This is A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith and Dallas Goedert. This is CeeDee Lamb and Tony Pollard and Dak Prescott. If you can't stop Puka Nacua, man, you got no shot against Mahomes and Kelsey. You got no shot against Devontae and A.J. Brown. Right? Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott are going to eat you for lunch if you can't stop Puka and Atwell.
Before you go, I gotta give it to Grant. I thought he had a great tweet, just in terms of like the troll level. He tweeted that Purdy would have overthrown Emmanuel Sanders too.
I did see that.
That's good.
I saw that.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
But Trey Lance wouldn't have. And that's
He would have hit him in stride.
And I'm just going to tell you right now, the fact that the Dallas Cowboys have scored 70 points over their first 2 games and they've added Trey Lance, no coincidence to be found. Those are directly connected. It's the Niners making terrible decisions. The Dallas Cowboys are undefeated since adding Trey Lance. Never mind that Brock Purdy hasn't lost a game that he's started and finished yet. What Trey Lance might have done is so much more relevant than what has actually been done by Brock Purdy and the 49ers. So never forget that. And George Kittle, 3 catches, overpaid, overrated, don't need him. Never mind the fact that he's reached 400 receptions in his career faster than any other 49ers player ever, Jerry Rice included. And we all know that Jerry Rice is no Hakuna Matata. That was proven today. So I think we all know that this is luck that has brought the 49ers to 2-0. And here comes Brian Daboll and a team that really knows what it's doing to show you what's what Thursday night. 2-1. Write it down.
There you go. Or how about this one? Kyle's, he's always got somebody in his doghouse. It was Ayuk. Now it's Elijah Mitchell and JP Mason. Those guys are in his doghouse. Why does he always put these good young players in his doghouse? He can't develop young players.
The guys who aren't playing mean so much more than the guys who are playing. If only Kyle knew what he was doing. If only Kyle knew what he was doing.
Oh, if Kyle McVay coach circles around him, if he had more talent, they would have won by 30. RG Teamster says, hyper negative. Why are Mitchell and Mason in the doghouse? Yeah, I just stole your one. Raphael 5629er says 30 Purdy. I'm not sure what
New nickname.
Yeah, I mean that's basically could be his nickname, 30 Purdy.
Yeah.
That to me, if you want to say like what really starts, we don't know what Brock Purdy's really going to be, good, bad, or otherwise. He's not going to he's not going to run the table. He's not going to go undefeated. He's going to throw picks. He's going to lose games. So we're still kind of defining what he is as a player. But if this were kind of one of his worst games, I almost feel even better about, than some of the games where he's been really, really amazing. Because he missed some throws today, but he still took care of the football. He still maintained a lot of poise. He still gets him in and out of plays at the line of scrimmage. He still works that play clock down. He still does an awful lot of things that that look really, really veteran-like.
Eliminating mistakes. I mean, if you had to just start charting what are his best attributes, the elimination of spine-snapping, soul-crushing mistakes are the upgrade over Garoppolo that he truly represents more than anything else. Arm strength might be comparable between him and Jimmy. Athleticism might be comparable. I always thought Jimmy was a little bit of a better athlete than people gave him credit for. But avoiding the soul-sucking, spine-snapping mistakes is what Brock seems to be as good at as any.
Jimmy had a couple today.
Yeah, I saw
Jimmy had 2 picks today. Yeah.
2 picks. Yeah, they were bad. Yeah. Yeah, I think, you look at Brock Purdy, like Larry, you said, if this is one of the floor, one of his worst games, he was 17 of 25. That's 68% with no picks and 206 yards, only 1 sack.
Not to interrupt you, Danny, but if you go back to Iowa State, guess what he completed? 67%. Yeah. Guess what he's completed with the Niners for the most part? Right around 67%. Yeah. That's kind of what he is. He's he's like a 67% quarterback who's going to throw for about 200 to 270 yards, couple touchdowns, probably not going to throw any picks. It's kind of it. He's going to run like twice a game for, 22 yards. Go ahead, Danny. In some ways, it's like he's been very, very consistent.
Hey, a quarterback, you don't always want your quarterback to, you want him to win the game, but more importantly, you don't want him to lose the game. And he didn't lose the game for you with erratic plays. He does what he's asked to do in this offense, and that is move the ball, don't make mistakes, so that we don't turn the ball over in our own territory. Just keep moving it, and if we don't get the first down, if it's not there, we'll punt and we'll turn it over to the defense. And he's been putting up 30 points a game, like you said. That's going to win you 90% of the games or better. If you score 30 in this league with the Niners defense, I'll take that. And you're going to win at least 90% of the games.
As far as, by the way, it's halftime of the night game, and the Patriots are getting their doors beaten off at home.
Believe
It's
I had that today.
17-3 Miami.
Larry, and I tell you what, I've been sitting downstairs for the last 7.5 hours, leaving my wife with 2 children upstairs, and I got to get going, especially with us having such an early wake-up call tomorrow. Thank you for having me on. Thanks to Kevin for all of his help getting the Palmetto Superfoods Monday morning 49ers wake-up call spectacular, ready to go at 8 a.m. Gentlemen, Dan, Ryan, Baller, always good to see you. Kevin, Larry, thank you for having me on. Subscribe, like, all that stuff. You know, all know the drills by now. Thank you. Thank you so much, Larry, and we'll do this again tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Be on time. Be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. We'll have the coffee ready.
See you tomorrow at 8. There you go. The great Damon Bruce now hanging in the green room. Don't you go eating all of our food back there. As far as the rest of the league today, guys, before we call this stream to a quit here at the, we're about 2 hours in to our stream right now. What stood out to you guys today around the league and through 2 weeks? What is standing out to you guys? We get a Monday night doubleheader to finish out. So we get tonight's Miami game in Foxborough. And then tomorrow night we get Saints-Panthers in Carolina. And we get Browns-Steelers back at Heinz Field. What's jumped out to you guys? Good, bad, otherwise? Is there a team that is significantly better than you think? Is there a team that's significantly backslid from a year ago? When you look around the league and you look at 2 weeks of action, what comes to mind outside of the Niners?
One thing that popped out to me was it doesn't seem like the Chiefs are as dominant as they have been in the past. I know they beat the Jags today, and the Jags barely scored any points, but their offense is just not the same. There's a lot of drops, there's a lot of mistakes. I think they only scored 17 today, or did they end up scoring
17-9? Yeah, 17-9. Only 3 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, so it's just like that offense is not elite right now. But I mean, it's Mahomes. You never know; they'll probably turn it around. But that's been my takeaway.
Yeah, the Chiefs. It's funny. You take away enough pieces of the puzzle, and then they didn't have Chris Jones in Week 1. He played today, and he's exactly Chris Jones again. He had 1.5 sacks. He had a couple hits on the quarterback, so he's back to being the dominant force that he is. But yeah, I mean, you take away Tyreek, and now you look at their receivers, and you're like, okay, Sky Moore, does that scare you? Not really. Noah Gray, Justin Watson, Kadarius Toney, Jerick McKinnon, Rashee Rice, Edwards-Helaire, MVS, Marquez Valdez, Richie James. I mean, they've got Kelsey and they've got Pacheco. But I don't know. I kind of agree with Kev. I don't. The Chiefs,
their receivers
don't quite look the same.
Their receivers,
no, they really
are not
don't.
that great.
Kelsey looked a little lumbering too.
Kelsey does look a little old. I agree.
Yeah, they're vulnerable this year in the AFC, I think.
Is there some team around the league, guys, that stands out to you guys 2 weeks in? I'll say this. I kind of like what I'm seeing in the line of scrimmage from the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns have Nick Chubb. Now, Deshaun Watson looked terrible in Week 1, but they got weapons. They've got a good O-line. Dawan Jones has stepped in at tackle for Conklin, who's now out for the year. He looks like he could be a starter there. You got Myles Garrett on your D-line. They got Denzel Ward on the back end. Got some pretty good linebackers. They got players on all 3 levels of their D. I don't know. I think the Browns are a lot better team than people think. Nobody talks about the Browns because it seems like the Bengals get love in that division, the Steelers, the Ravens. There's a lot more mystique about all these teams than there is about the Browns. But I think the Browns are being overlooked right now. I think the Browns are going to beat the Steelers tomorrow night, and I think the Browns are a real team.
Yeah, I think there's going to be – I think we're going to, every year it seems like there's parity, especially,
There's a lot of parity.
The 9-8 teams, the 8-9, 9-8, 9-8, 10-7 will probably get you into that last spot in each conference. I'm kind of thinking that, everybody said Green Bay might only win 3-4 games. I think they might contend for a playoff spot. They could win that NFC North again because Christian Watson's been out for 2 weeks and Jordan Love's looking pretty good. And Aaron Jones was out today, Christian Watson, and they took, they had Atlanta beat, but let it slip away. So I think Green Bay is not done. I think they've reloaded. They got a lot of young receivers, and I think they're going to be an interesting team. They're not a contender for the Super Bowl or anything, but I think they're going to start. They're not going to miss Aaron Rodgers as much, maybe, as Aaron Rodgers missed Green Bay. I don't know. It's just they seem to know how to just reload. Other teams, I do like Dallas. I think Dallas and the Niners in Week 5 are going to both be 4-0, and I think that's going to be the talk of the nation for that week with football. I think that's going to be a really big game. And getting back to this, why would the Niners trade Trey in their playbook to Dallas? Why would you do that?
Well, because, I mean, I'm not saying it was the right move, but I think it's pretty clear that the Niners, Danny, prioritized getting the highest draft compensation they possibly could get over sending him someplace that maybe would, get him kind of out of people's minds. I mean, you move him to Tennessee or some random team in the AFC, then, who cares if he comes of age? Now they've kind of upped the ante a little bit here. If he goes to Dallas and he kicks ass, and John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan, to me, there's a race. As soon as they made that trade to Dallas, they essentially started a race, and it's about public perception. And if the Shanahan and Lynch combo wins a Super Bowl before Trey Lance emerges as a good quarterback, then the Niners are probably fine, and they're probably fine. And they'll probably get long-term extensions, and everything will be fine. But let's just say Trey Lance, whether it be in Dallas or even somewhere else, let's say Trey Lance emerges as a very good NFL quarterback and maybe even a franchise quarterback, and Lynch and Shanahan don't win the Super Bowl. I think that could be the end of their run. I think there could be enough pushback and enough negativity that could really impact the general consensus about the regime. I don't think it's fair, but I think it is. I think it's one thing. You traded Haley to Dallas. I mean, that was obviously a bad move. But to trade a quarterback that knows your entire offensive system, in a key game, he's going to have intel. I wonder if that's why Jerry Jones even did it. He's not going to play this year unless two quarterbacks go down. Did he trade with the Niners and offer a 5th round pick instead of what was a 5th, right? Is what they got?
It was a 4th round pick.
It was a 4th. Do you think they did it though to get the intel?
Dan, you're not going to pay $10 million a year for intel, and that's what Trey's cap hit is for the next 2 years. I want to get back to the surprising teams throughout the NFL, because I got a team that I think is looking good and a team that's looking bad. And we'll start with the bad, and it's the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow, he looks injured. The calf isn't right. Rice said it's reported he retweaked the calf today. Jamar Chase, was going real early in all your fantasy drafts. He's been real freaking quiet through 2 games. So
he has been, my goodness.
Yeah, he's been real quiet. Cincinnati, it might be time for them to start hitting the panic button over there in Cincy. And then the team that's looking good is playing right now, and it's Mike McDaniel and these Miami Dolphins. Tua has another 200 yards passing here in the first half. That offense is explosive. The defense, I know Fangio, they got ran all over last week. Well, Ramondre's been quiet here so far through the first half. So I think that defense, Christian Wilkins, Jalen Phillips, they got some talent on defense. The offense, they just got speed all over the place. So Miami, don't sleep on that team because they are contenders.
To add another one to the bad, the Chicago Bears have been terrible this year.
Ugh.
And all this
Ooh.
talk about Justin Fields being like a top 5 quarterback, or top, and all this stuff. It's like, I never really understood why he was so highly rated. I think it's just like the highlight plays he makes. So he's really athletic and
He had a
run.
great,
But-
Danny had him on his fantasy team second half of last year. He had a great little run there, didn't he, Danny?
Yeah, for fantasy, but they've tried to change him back to a pocket quarterback, and
He's
they're
getting sacked.
and he's horrible at that.
He holds
He
the
takes
ball.
sacks.
He's
He
an
was sacked
athletic
6
guy that
times
gets
today
sacked,
by Tampa.
Yeah, an athletic guy that gets sacked a lot, it means that they're just standing in the pocket, not knowing where to throw the ball. And that happened to him in Georgia. So, I mean, that was kind of the thing coming out.
They hit him 10 times today, Tampa did. You hit a quarterback that runs a 40 and 4.4 flat 10 times. That's amazing.
Oh, Will Martinez says, "Stop sleeping on my Bucks." Interesting.
I'm still sleeping.
Baker threw for 317.
Mike
They
Evans.
ran for 120. Evans, they're saying is going to get traded. He had a phenomenal day today. 6 for 171 and a touchdown. They got 6 sacks and 10 hits on the quarterback. I mean, you always look
Todd
better when you can hit.
Bowles. Todd
Yeah.
Bowles is a hell of a defensive mind. I love him. He could be my defensive head coach. Maybe not so much, but defensive coordinator any day of the week. They got Levante David and Devin White, who is the second best linebacking tandem in all the NFL after Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw, of course.
And Mike Evans is just so reliable there. He's just always, like, every season, it seems like he has
1,000 yards,
Yeah,
double-digit
season.
touchdowns.
Dog. I've got one. How
Yeah.
about this as a takeaway? The last 3 quarterback drafts, kind of duds. So I mean, I know it's obviously too early to judge Stroud and Bryce Young, and I mean, A-Rich looks sick. I just don't really see any of them turning into like a fantastic quarterback. But those guys aside, I mean, so 2020, we had Burrow, Tua, Herbert, Jordan Love, who now looks good, and Jalen Hurts. That's completely stacked. Then when the Niners, of course, drafting, I mean, Trevor Lawrence, he looks good. Like, I mean,
looks pretty good.
We're still in love with the upside, but still, he just is maddening. Like today, he's just a little maddening. But other than him, like Trey Doo, Justin Fields, I don't think he's long.
Zach Wilson,
Mac Jones, Kyle Trask, Kellen Mond, Davis Mills. Then last year, Kenny Pickett, Sam Howell, who looks okay, Ritter, nah.
Let's be honest, guys. Go back and look like over the course of this entire century. So you're going back almost going back 25 years here. It's like about a 30% hit rate on first round quarterbacks. You got like a 7 in 10 chance of missing when you draft a quarterback in the first round.
Which is
And yet
insane.
teams do it every year.
What makes it even more insane is like last year, Pickett, Howell, Ritter, Corral, Zappy. I wouldn't want any of them. But then also Brock Purdy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's amazing. I'll say, one takeaway I had today, they lost today, but Green Bay is a much better team than I thought. Jordan Love threw 3 more touchdowns today. I didn't watch the game, but Aaron Taylor must have been hurt because he didn't play. But they've got now Romeo Doubs, Jaden Reed had 2 touchdowns, the rookie from Michigan State. They've kind of redone all their weapons here. Luke Musgrave.
Got him on my fantasy, Jaden Reed.
Yeah, he's good. He had 2 touchdowns today on 8 targets. And if you watch him, and then on defense, they've got some real good defensive players. Quay Walker today made 17 tackles. Quay Walker, 17 tackles. Devondre Campbell had 14. Darnell Savage is as good a free safety as there is. And then they got Jair Alexander, who's a true number 1 corner. And they've got some guys up front. Kenny Clark, Preston Smith, Devontae Wyatt was a first-round pick. Lucas Van Ness, Rashawn Gary got to the quarterback today. And they got some guys. Carl Brooks. They've got some guys up front. Green Bay is better than I think. They're definitely better than I thought. Much better. Despite the fact they lost to Atlanta today. And then The other one, I didn't see the Colts, but what are you guys thinking of Anthony Richardson?
You got hurt.
Got concussed today, didn't he?
But he was great to start. And then
Yeah.
Gardner Minshew, who
He ran for 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, he ran for 2 touchdowns and then he went out. And Gardner Minshew is awesome. It blows my mind when you look at Minshew's stats. He's got like a 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio career wise. Like, I don't understand why somebody doesn't just trade for him and make him their starter. Like
The Jets.
Seriously, if you're the Jets, why would you not give a second-round pick for Gardner Minshew? And if you're Indy and you're really building around Anthony Richardson, take that second-round pick all day and every day.
Hell yeah.
I think Nick Sirianni's the real deal. That's when I look at Indy, and I feel like the Philly offense hasn't quite looked the same. I don't think Hurts is quite clicking on all cylinders, and I think is it Sirianni? No, who's the coach in Indy?
Yeah.
Sirianni's the Eagles coach. I'm sorry, the guy who left Sirianni.
Steichen?
Thank you, Shane Steichen. No, I hate Sirianni. I got those mixed up. Shane Steichen left the Eagles to go to Indy, and that's the offensive mind. I think the Eagles offense has now looked the same. Hurts has been struggling a little bit, not clicking on all cylinders. Meanwhile, Anthony Richardson, they're scheming up these runs. He's running all over the place, had a couple touchdowns today, 1 rushing. So I'm looking at Shane Steichen. I think he's a really good offensive mind. I think he's going to be a good head coach there in Indy.
That's the only thing you can say about the 49ers is that if their offensive coordinator leaves, the whole offense doesn't change because Kyle Shanahan's the coach, Right. And that's the problem that Eagles are having right now.
JD has joined the mix, coming over from 95.7 The Game. We're only going to go another 15 or so, but let me just read these 2 supers. I got one thing to throw out, and then we'll get JD's thoughts on this thing. Mark Hope says, the Shedeur Sanders Tom Brady connection. Are you all aware? Thoughts on the Colorado Buffaloes? Yeah, they beat Colorado State at home. I like how that's like something to really, go crazy about. I mean, isn't Colorado State an FCS team? Or maybe not. I don't know. But, I mean, Colorado was definitely favored to win that game. Mark Hope says, regarding Lance, Mike McCarthy has an offseason quarterback camp. He will turn Trey into a serviceable quarterback. That's why Trey requested the trade to Dallas. All right, well, we'll see. QB camp for McCarthy, huh? One on Dave Lombardi who tweeted this out. He says, very ironically, the issue for Brock Purdy has been too much mustard on the deep shots. At least we can put the arm strength questions to rest. He just needs to back off and add touch. That is funny. If Brock Purdy had missed those balls deep and they had all been underthrown, people would be losing their mind. He can't throw the deep ball. He can't. You saw it. He underthrew it. You guys all saw it. Well, guess what happened today? He had, 3 or 4 deep balls. He overthrew all of them. He really led his guys too much in every single category. So maybe arm strength isn't the deal. Maybe he's
getting stronger.
He has no touch. JD, what'd you think of the game?
Yeah, nice win, not perfect, but the 49ers did enough, I think, in all phases to get the job done. I continue to be now 2 weeks in impressed with the Rams, right? We all thought they were going to stink, and clearly they're not going to stink. Maybe it gets to that point if they have some injuries, but there's some more talent on that team than I think anybody would have expected a couple of weeks ago, and they looked pretty awful for the most part in the preseason too, which I think goes to show that preseason really doesn't mean a lick. Pittsburgh looked great in the preseason. Pittsburgh was the Rams, and I know Pittsburgh will play their second game tomorrow, but the Rams look like a better team than the Steelers. And I thought that was going to be a real difficult game for the Niners, but no, some key plays from this one. The Niners, again, they go down, they get up 7-0. The offense just looks like it's humming. I thought Brandon Ayuk going down with the shoulder early and kind of being in and out of the game took the 49ers offense at times a little bit out of its rhythm. I thought the Rams did a good job after the 51-yard run.
Did Kyle say anything about Ayuk in the postgame? We didn't play any of the Kyle.
Just that it's a shoulder, and it doesn't seem too serious because at this point because he was able to go back in. But they were limiting him. I mean, he was clearly feeling it. There were multiple series where he just wasn't out there at the beginning of the series, and then he'd come in for a couple of plays, and then they take him back out. So he was clearly battling through it, even though he was somebody that doesn't go down formally on the report as didn't return and that sort of thing. But definitely something to monitor with the quick turnaround into Thursday for the home opener. But the Niners, Purdy, if he hits those throws, there were some plays to be made. I think the Niners offensively left some points out there. Maybe we're having a different conversation about the dominance of this team. I still think they flashed, at different points how explosive and really in many ways unstoppable the offense can be. But the defense in the first half, the Rams were just kind of taking what the Niners were giving them, a lot of short stuff. The Niners weren't getting pressure. I think that, the receivers for Nakua and Atwell for the Rams were just, getting open, and it was quick stuff, and Stafford was hitting them. And I think you saw a veteran head coach, offensive game planner in McVay with a veteran quarterback that's done some stuff in the NFL, being able to figure out a way to hang in a game against a team that is pretty superior when it comes to overall talent. So kind of a hat tip game for me a little bit to the Rams just for hanging in. But I thought when the Niners got down 17-10 and couldn't stop the Rams, hadn't stopped them one time, for them to take the timeouts at the end of the half and then go down and score that touchdown to tie it.
That was great coaching there by Shanahan, because he could have been lulled into just allowing the clock to run down and not preserve that time. And the Rams got the ball. The Rams would have gotten the double bubble, which is score going in and get the ball coming out at the beginning of the third. And Shanahan wasn't going to let it happen. He used his timeouts and he manipulated the thing and got the ball back and went down the other. Brock made him look good by moving the ball all the way down the field and getting the touch.
And it was still a little bit of a train wreck at times. Every time the Niners do it, they always tend to come out rosy for the most part. And they did on that final play, but there's always, they're trying to limit they saved the time, which was the right call. And look, they hadn't stopped the Rams. So if the Rams had gone in up 7 or even up 4 with the ball, I think you would have felt a lot more vulnerable if you were the Niners. So I give Shanahan credit for going for it. Basically, all right, one play. If we can't get a half a yard, then you know what, maybe we deserve to lose this game today. I think that was the statement that he was making. They punch it in there, they go in tied, and that's really when they went in tied, I thought, you know what, they're going to be able to make enough adjustments in the second half defensively to be able to get back on top and take control. And that's exactly what they did. The difference in the game wound up being they didn't turn the ball over. The Rams did turn the ball over. I think part of the reason the Rams did turn the ball over, now the first one was just a lucky break. I mean, the ball goes off the running back, off his hands, and Isaiah Oliver's right there for the pick. But I do think the Niners were able to make some adjustments that sped the Rams up in the second half, that got everything going a little. Stafford had to move around a little more. The catches weren't quite as clean where Atwell or Nakua could make the catch and then get their 4 or 5 yards, where it wasn't like they were making big plays, but it felt like they were getting every inch and every yard they wanted out of every play. And then they were hammering the Niners with the run. So they slowed that up. They blitzed a little more. Fred Warner coming on some blitzes and they did some run blitzing, it looked like in the second half. So they slowed the running game down a little bit. They sped Stafford up a little bit. Everything wasn't so clean for the Rams. And I think that led, as the Niners reestablished control with their offense, that led to the turnovers that proved to be the difference in the game. And then I thought two completions. We talked about the completions that the Niners didn't make and Purdy didn't make. 2 completions right at the beginning of the fourth quarter, one to Debo, the other one to Juwan Jennings. I thought really on that touchdown drive that ended up with the Debo touchdown, that to me was the 49ers just reestablishing control at like, hey, this thing hasn't been perfect. We're grabbing control. We're going to make you play from behind against our defense, which is now generating more pressure. And that leads to the Lenore interception, which basically salts the game away. So not perfect, things to pick apart. It's not going to be 35-7 every week, But I think a real nice divisional win. This team's 2-0 on the road now. They pick up a divisional win, and a divisional win that Seattle didn't get. If we think this is a battle between the Niners and Seattle, Seattle's already down one at home to the Rams. Niners come down on the road and get one against them. We'll see them, the final week of the year in week 18, the Niners will. So those are kind of the broad just takeaways, and they keep pace with Dallas and Philly, which I think is something we all should be keeping an eye on here at this point.
I agree. Don't you, Dan? I think Dan's really insightful on that. Don't you think so, Danny? I mean, I think JD made a great point. Don't you, Dan? Dan
cooking right now.
Dan? Lumpia. JD, I got to ask you, you had boots on the ground in LA. What was the breakdown of the crowd if you had to go percentage wise? Niner fan,
70-30.
Ram fan, 70-30 Niners.
And honestly, right before kickoff, it looked like it was about 70 Niners, 15 Rams, 15 empty seats. Like at one point right before kickoff, there were more empty seats than there were Ram fans. And it filled in, but that's just the startling visual that I had kind of looking down from on high was, wow, there's a lot of Niner fans here. I do think it was more than 60 or 65. It was probably in the high 60s, but
at least the Chargers were smart enough to fill some of those empty seats with AI robots. I don't know if you guys saw that. At least, the Chargers, they're filling it with robots. I was thinking the Rams might do something similar to try to prevent the inevitable red invasion that goes on at SoFi, but no. So I was happy to see Rams, no robots. So I thought that was a plus. Niners, obviously this team travels well. And JD, you touched on kind of the Steve Wilks blitzing and Fred Warner. How about that Charvarius Ward blitz, bringing him off the edge, and he had that clean shot at him, and Stafford managed to kind of get out of it and make a nice play. But I like the idea because it was schemed up perfectly. It was a free rusher. Charvarius Ward, you would love him to kind of break down and finish that play with a sack, because got to tip my hat to Steve Wilks on that one.
Yeah, he changed it up, and I'm with you on the Ward blitz was a great call. He's got to make the play. I was having a text conversation with a friend of mine. I kind of said I hear this fake internal dialogue between Shanahan and Wilks, and I'm kind of joking around where it's like Shanahan's like, fine, if we can't get any stops, then blitz, Steve. You can blitz, but don't blitz a corner. Like, what? You blitz a corner, guy can't make a tackle. No, but it was. It worked out. The play was there to be made. Ward obviously has to make the play, but yeah, to your point, Baller, it is the being unafraid to do things a little bit differently, and the Niners being comfortable blitzing more with Wilks because that's his forte as a defensive coordinator and a head coach who's been a defensive coordinator as well. That's been his forte in the league, and the Niners haven't done it as much because they haven't had to do it as much. But I think it's a nice wrinkle that the Niners can deploy maybe when things aren't going as expected to change a game. And I think they did that in the second half tonight.
JD, what's the hyper negative sports radio, Bay Area sports radio take tomorrow that people, will it be, Brock, it wasn't a good game for Brock. He's not perfect. Was it, is it something about Bosa, took the money and ran. He doesn't do anything. He's got all this money. He's not doing anything. Is it, what exactly is it? Is it Shanahan? God, doesn't use another back besides CMC. You're going to run him into the ground. What's the hyper negative point that people will be like, it was a great game, but
the one that I gave to my guys on 95.7 The Game, Grandy and Sterling Bennett and Alan Stiles before I joined you guys was, well, Brock can't be elite. Can the Niners win? That was a great win, but can the Niners win if Brock isn't elite? And Brock wasn't elite. It was the way I put it, and I was half kidding, but I do think there's a little bit of truth to it. I said, well, Purdy was basically Jimmy G today. Jimmy G line, didn't turn it over, kept things moving. They did other things well. He didn't kill him, missed open throws. And so to me, that the one conversation is nice win, but if you think that the Niners have to have an elite quarterback to win the Super Bowl, then Purdy showed you, at least for today, that he's not elite yet. And that means eventually they won't win it. So yeah, there's my hot takey. I had
Look
one
at that.
ready for
Look
you,
at that.
Larry.
Look at that.
Not saying I believe it necessarily, but
Yeah.
I think that's what the
All right.
conversation
All
will
right.
be.
I can hear it. I
Hey,
can hear it.
I just thought of another one. How about this? The AFC, Mahomes, Burrow. The AFC looks completely down. The Eagles look like they got worse. The Cowboys, yeah, they're 2-0, but they're also the Cowboys, and it's been a lot of defense. It hasn't really been Dak. If Kyle Shanahan cannot win a Super Bowl this year, he'll never win a Super Bowl. It's wide open for him.
Ryan, I like it, and Larry, I think I like it. The only caveat to that is I think that one's going to get saved for when the Niners are like 6, 7, 8-0, 10-1. Like I think you're onto something, but it's going to be the topic that comes up because the week-to-week topics kind of die because they're winning so many games.
I think you got to always fast forward into tomorrow and think about what we saw and what potential little wrinkles could come that would make people spin it. I think there's a chance, because he touched the ball so much in week 1 and so much in week 2, that tomorrow CMC will be on the injury list for something. He's got a contusion on his elbow. He'll sit out practice. They'll only practice one day this week. It'll be Tuesday. He won't practice. And then all of a sudden there'll be this, is Shanahan running CMC into the ground? And why has he forgotten about Elijah Mitchell? And what the heck, J.P. Mason, it's the fourth quarter and you're up multiple scores. And why is McCaffrey going out there? And Shanahan's an idiot. And Shanahan,
You know what's funny about that is
banana hands or whatever they want to call them. It's like,
what's funny about that for me
I
is
could see it. I could see it.
We all watch CMC, right? And like it's like, yeah, okay, you have these other backs. Like if McCaffrey wasn't on the team, I think Niner fans would feel pretty good about Elijah Mitchell, and they like Mason, and Ty Davis Price may not have it quite yet, but you like some of the options. But when you put CMC on the team and you see how he's 3 levels above everybody else, I think I can kind of see where if you're Kyle Shanahan, you're like, dude, Elijah Mitchell's nice, but this guy's so much better. I just can't take him off the damn field, even though in any other circumstance, I'd be playing Elijah Mitchell a lot and feeling like you can win with Elijah Mitchell. But I don't know. It kind of goes.
What's the call-in number at 95.7?
888-957-9570, Larry.
Light him up right
Yeah.
now. Is Shanahan running McCaffrey into the ground? Light him up. Steiny, we'll be back in a second. We're going to get your calls. JD's going to be in here. Light him up. Shanahan. Is he burying McCaffrey?
Can you believe Shanahan forced Ayuk back into the game, putting his health at risk? He doesn't think about his players' health at all. The locker room's going to be an uproar.
This is year 7. If Shanahan doesn't win it this year, fire him. Get him out of here. Where's Chip Kelly when you need him? Damn it.
Hey, you know who wins this week?
Who's
The
that?
Giants. The Niners on a short week. No one's going to be talking about the Giants. They're going to be talking about the up.
What is
What
this
a huge
Giants?
win for
What is
them
this
today.
Giants you discuss? Is this the team that went to Coors Field and got hammered in a doubleheader by only the team that hasn't can't hit their way out of a paper
No,
bag since the middle
Yeah,
of June?
They're fortunate. Tomorrow's all Niners, and then Tuesday it's going to be like, Giants playing Arizona, key game, but then it's like it'll be still Niners because they're playing Thursday. So all this hype will be going right. Giants. Will
The
probably
Niners
go
standards are probably a little too high. The Giants standards are probably a little too low. The Niners and the Giants sit next to each other in class. The Niners get like a B+ and are cursing themselves in the hallway. The Giants get like a C- and are like, hey man, didn't get a D. Didn't get a D. Hey, Cap, get over here. Get your Lululemon ass over here and high five me, man. Heck yeah.
Yeah,
We
pass.
didn't get a D. Yes.
You get moved on
Yes.
to next year. You're coming back.
All of our fans have yet to abandon us. Get over here, Kai Correa. High five, man. Let's go talk to Slater.
Brebbia.
Jock.
Oh, this is
Because there is that. Every class, it's like there's one kid, he gets an A- and walks out of there going, my dad is going to kill me. My mom's going to disown me. There's somebody who gets like a D- who's like, bro, you know what?
I didn't even study. And
I just showed up. I know you get a certain number of points for putting your name down, but D-. I'm playing Saturday.
I told my mom around the trade deadline that I was going to get an A, but I'm pretty sure she's forgot that by now. I'm pretty sure I can get away with a D.
You see Farhan high-fiving Gabe as they're getting on the plane leaving Denver. Hey, man, we didn't get swept by the Rockies.
Hey, the Bats woke up.
The Bats.
Still alive.
They almost
Still
blew a
alive.
9-0 lead.
And that
This is
would've-
like
that
Niner
would've
fans
been
are
the
like
next
complaining
round.
about Brock Purdy. Giants fans are still arguing why AJ Pollock was a wise pickup. You know what I mean? Hey man, look, if Pollock hadn't been here those 3 days, then those other guys wouldn't have been as motivated to get off the DL and get back in the lineup. And yeah, Pollock didn't get a single hit, but you know what? He motivated our guys, and we got a lot of positive out of AJ Pollock. I'll tell you that right now. Where like Niner fans are like, Purdy sucks, man. Are you kidding me? I mean, he's not doing enough. He's undefeated. All right. Why don't we let's do this. You guys all been in hanging for a while. We're 2 hours and 34 minutes into our live stream, and we're probably going to call it a night right here. But let's go around the room. Let's fast forward this thing to Thursday night. I mean, literally, Niners don't practice tomorrow. They don't practice Wednesday. They don't practice Friday. They have one practice day. It's Tuesday. Then they play Thursday night against the New York Giants. What are we going to see here? And maybe even the bigger question is, how far can the Niners, do you think, go and keep this perfect record going? It's Giants at home Thursday night. Then it's Arizona at home on Sunday, the following Sunday, a week from Sunday. Then it's Dallas at home on Sunday Night Football, national TV. Then road trips to Cleveland and Minnesota. The Bengals on a Sunday afternoon going into the bye week. Can the Niners go, let's see, they're 2-0 now. Can they go 3, 4, 5, 6? Can they go 8-0 into the bye week? What do you guys think? Then out of the bye, they get Jacksonville on the road, Tampa, Seattle, and then at Philly December 3rd, which should be, NFC showdown of the year for the most part. How are the Niners going to keep this rolling? I mean, it's a nice little start. What do you guys think?
I could see him going undefeated up until, I think, if they lose a game in the first half, I think it's either that Monday night against Minnesota or Cincinnati at home, coming back after Cincinnati's got a bye. And if Cincinnati gets things going, they've already got 2 losses. They're going to be, they don't want to fall too far behind. I think that's the trap game on the schedule for me.
Not Dallas. Wow. Okay. What do you guys think?
Well, it feels like the Niners own Dallas. That's just the taking them out of the playoffs the last.
It's a bad
years.
matchup.
It feels like the Niners
for
got
Dallas.
the Cowboys number. I'm not fearing the Cowboys. Looking at the schedule, I know Cincinnati, they're 0-2. I talked about them; they've been struggling, but I'm thinking that could be the first loss of the season. So I'm looking at Cincinnati right before the bye. That is what.
Yeah, since he's got a bye before that, and the Niners are on 6 days.
That's right. That's right. So Cincy, I think that one's tough, especially if Joe's calf starts feeling a little bit better. But hey, fellas, I gotta say, Krug, thanks for the invite, fellas. Love chopping it up. I know the
everybody,
chat
by
has
the
been
way,
live.
everybody joined Baller's channel. It's Bay Area Baller 18, right under his name, Bay Area Baller 18. Go over to his channel, give him a like and subscribe. He's building that thing up. Baller, where are you at right now? Where are you building it to so far?
Yeah, we're on the road to 2K, and make sure you subscribe. Monday nights, me and 3 of my buddies go live straight out of the Bay. It's our 49ers Monday show, 8 p.m. Shout out Kelts, Jay in the Bay, Amin the Dream. So yeah, subscribe because tomorrow night I love my Monday night show with my boys straight out of the Bay. So you guys subscribe to the channel and tune in tomorrow night because it's going down.
All right, Baller. Good to see you, man. Have a great Sunday.
Thanks, fellas.
The great Eric
See you,
Price,
Baller.
Bay Area Baller 18. Bay Area Baller 18. Danny, let's promote your channel as well, NorCal Sports Network. Danny, are you going live later tonight, Danny, to talk about the
We are.
Giants? Did the Giants win today?
They did. They hung on for
They
an 11-10 win. We're going to
Sound
be talking
very
mostly,
confused whether we're rooting
yeah.
for that or against it.
Yeah.
They
We're
did.
They did. 11-10. But we're going to talk a little Giants, but then we're going to go into the Niners. So anybody wants to join at 8:30, you guys are welcome to join.
8:30, an hour from now. You got an hour and 5 minutes to cool down, get a sarsaparilla, get on the
Yep.
couch.
I'm going to go take a
And-
walk, take the dogs on a walk right now. And
Los
get that-
will Los be in the house.
Los will be in the house. Yep, Los, and
Eric?
you're welcome. You any of you guys want to join? You're welcome to. Let me know because I'd love to have you on. Bring the Krug Show over to bring the party over to the NorCal Sports Network.
Nick
And-
Caracello says heading to NorCal Sports Network next for sure. It's like it's like trick or treating.
Yeah,
Well, wait, they're giving away candy over there. Oh, yeah, I'll be over there. Maybe
One of
Danny's
those,
got some Reese's.
what do they call those things when you go on the a little trail? You go house to house, scavenger hunt or something. Yeah,
No, it's called a what's it called? A crawl, like a pub crawl.
Oh, a pub crawl.
there you go.
We used to
yeah.
do pub crawls. We used to do them on our bikes in college. I wouldn't recommend it.
Very good. So yeah, NorCal Sports Network, 8:30 tonight. We'll be doing a lot of Niner talk. We had a pretty good show the other night. We had a wild 2-hour show with fantasy trades going back and forth in our league. Just unbelievable. There was
Yeah, I missed a call
Nick
from
says, "I just
Dan.
want to hear Danny rip Cap and Farhan. It's music to my ears."
oh, you'll get a lot of that tonight. Yep. I actually enjoy doing that. So
All right, sounds good. Danny, have a great night. We'll
Thanks.
send you back to NorCal Sports Network.
yeah.
Go
Text me if
hit.
you want-
Go ahead,
If you
Danny.
want an invite, you want to join us, Larry, let me know.
Yeah, send me an invite. I
All
can't
right.
promise, but I'll try.
All right. Awesome.
The
Hey,
great Dan Cucimilio, 8:30 over at his place, and he's got excellent food in the green room. So get over there and get those vittles. That show ain't worth a damn, but the vittles are good. No, I'm just joking. Danny's got a great show. Rye Smith in the house, West Coast Smitty. How's the channel going, Rye? What can you promote on the channel?
So I'm getting the channel. Everyone go subscribe to West Coast Bias. The channel is officially kicking up this week. So I just moved into my place in LA on Tuesday night. So as you can see, I've got like nothing in the background, but I'll be working on the studio. I do have to go help my girlfriend.
Where's Ringo?
Give me 1 second.
Ringo, we
Move-
got to
move
see
on to
Ringo.
John. Move on to John.
JD, when are you going to be appearing next on 95.7 The Game?
Yeah, tomorrow. Time to be determined between 10 and 2 with Steiny and Guru, and yeah, it should be good conversation. And then the quick turnaround from Levi's on Thursday. Can't wait for that. And then hopefully we'll be doing this again on the post game show on 95.7, and then hopping on with you and walking out at about 2 a.m. from Levi's on, on Thursday.
Exactly, with lots of extra water bottles.
We got a tradition. I appreciate you having
seriously.
me. I actually have to run. I'm headed to the airport. I'm not too far.
Yeah, I was going to
away,
say,
but
you're
I
flying
gotta-
tonight, huh?
Yeah, I got a flight.
Safe
here
travels, my
in-
man. Safe travels. Thanks
about
for
an
jumping
hour or
on the
so.
stream. We'll catch you Thursday night at Levi's.
Sounds
See you,
good.
JD.
Thanks for having me. We'll talk to you.
All right, check out JD tomorrow on 95.7 The Game. Rye, do I see Ringo? He was there.
I'm trying to get him in the frame.
Ringo? Where's Ringo? Where is that dog? Rye's got a good-looking dog, Ringo.
Oh, we might have to change to a different box. Over here. Sit. Look at the camera.
Ringo. That's all right.
Right
saw
now that I see your mic, I feel like you haven't been using your mic this whole time. I think
Oh,
you've
it's
been on a
very,
different-
very possible.
I feel like you've been using a different
Uh-oh.
camera mic or
Kev's
something.
very sensitive to
Oh,
he knows.
No
can tell.
way. This whole time I have been using the wrong thing. Wow. My
Yeah, now you sound really good.
Oh, what
Now
the-
you sound really good.
Oops.
You want to do all your takes again?
Yeah, let me.
Why don't we just
Last,
restart the
negative
show?
Yeah, we're gonna fire away here. Yeah,
Whatever.
here we go. No. Seriously, I don't care. I'm a perfectionist. Let's check it. Could you imagine? Right, good to see you, man. West Coast Smitty. We love that you're able to jump in with us after these Niner games, man. If you're around Thursday night, we'll give you a shout. We'd love to see you.
Hell yeah. Let's do it.
All right, brother. Good to see you, man. Ryan Smith. Good stuff. Good stuff, Kev. You got a final thought? Why don't we do this? Why don't we play our spot from Jurens? We got a brand new sponsor on our channel. It's Jurens. We'll play it right here. We'll be back in just a second. Hey, everyone. It's Larry Kruger with Jurens Distributing Company. For over a half century, Jurens has been the cornerstone of excellence, trusted by Sacramento's finest restaurants, bars, and casinos. But now they're excited to announce that Jurens' exceptional products will be coming directly to you. That's right. Check out their new website, Jurens.com. Jurins.com. Jurens has a vast catalog with everything you need to elevate your kitchen and craft, from premium cocktail mixes to top-notch kitchen essentials that stand up to the rigors of a commercial kitchen. And here's the best part. When you shop at Jurens.com, you enjoy free nationwide shipping. That's right, free shipping. Jurens is able to offer customers best-in-class prices on all their products because they buy directly from the manufacturer and they cut out the middleman. But wait, there's more. For a limited time, get a fantastic 10% off your entire order by using the promo code KRUG, KRUEG, at checkout. Make sure to check the link in the description and use that promo code KRUG, KRUEG, at Jurens.com. You go, Jurens.com, Kev. If you want margarita mixes, you go to Jurens.com. And a bunch of other things, but they sent me all these margarita mixes. We mixed up some margaritas last weekend, and they were phenomenal. And Krug Show listeners and viewers are getting a deal at Jurens.com. So just use that promo code. It's in the description. Just click on the link, and you can go to Jurens.com.
And in the description, go to Mojo Fantasy, sign up using promo code Krug. If you do it and shoot me or my dad a message, we'll shout you out on the show. It's a fun fantasy app that you're using every week.
That's right.
We should recap on the Wednesday show how we did.
Well, I had Debo on an anytime touchdown. He scored a touchdown today. I had Purdy over 232, and he went under.
Okay.
So that was a loss.
What about Tutu? I think you had Tutu, right?
I had Tutu Atwell over 4 receptions. He got 6, right?
Yeah.
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 And then I had Kendrick Bourne in this game tonight over, was it 3 receptions? What does Bourne have? Let me double check on the Kendrick Bourne. He's got 2. So I'm right there.
Sweating it.
I'm sweating it. I've got, but the Patriots are behind, so you got 15 minutes of the fourth quarter to hook up with Kendrick Bourne a couple times. We also have this one from Kalba Kamiga, member for 15 months. He says, everybody enjoy the Sunday dinner. Oh, there you go. Hey, we can't go without a little mention of Pasquale and our good friends at New York Style Italian Sausage.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means no matter how busy you were, no matter where the hell you were, you came to dinner on a Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday dinner without sausage, it's like a church without God. You know, how can you go to church if you don't believe in God? You know, and along with the sausage, also became the discussions. That was discussion night. You know, it wasn't a typical family that you sit there and you're quiet, you know, and you don't talk with a mouthful. Oh no, man. Italians talk when they're eating. Italians even talk when they're sleeping. And definitely we talk with our hands. So if we can't express it through our mouth, through our lips, we express it with our hands. So, and that's what sausage is, really. It's an expression, you know, that life is good.
All right, we are also brought to you by Marin Auto Glass. MarinAutoGlass.com, 415-883-3030. And, of course, the title sponsor of the Krug Show is Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out in Emeryville and Corte Madera. Here's their place in Marin. Home stretch on the Krug Show. We got this one from Nick. He says, Larry, I know I've asked this before, but I have to ask again because I know fans miss him. Nothing from Gary Radnich in terms of coming on to shoot the shit with you. You would break YouTube. I told Gary we would hook up, or Gary, I talked to him this summer. He said, give me a call in September. So I will definitely give him a call here in the next couple of weeks. And, you know, he's a very private guy, but if we can get him on, I'd love to have him on. Are you kidding me? It'd be outstanding. It would be outstanding to have Gary on. Jimbo says, you're making me hungry, Larry. Sorry about that. Ragnar says, root beer, root beer. There you go. Bomber T says, great stuff as always, Larry. Kev, why don't we, final thought tonight. Niners get the win. They go to 2-0. They get a 30-23 win. The only thing that was a little bizarre was the Rams kicking a field goal at the last second to make it, instead of a 10-point victory or 10-point difference, a 7-point difference. And since gambling is such a big part of the NFL, it does kind of make you go, what's going on there? What was your takeaway on that last field goal from the Rams? It seemed very bizarre.
Well, yeah, I mean, on the field goal,
Yeah,
on
we
the
got
field goal, I was like telling my buddies, I'm like, dude, if they kick this field goal, that means that the Niners spread doesn't cash. Why would they do that? Why would they do that? And then they did it. And like, it wasn't even one of those things where, like, I know that sometimes coaches do this thing where it's like, okay, we're going to kick the field goal instead of going for the touchdown right now. And then we're going to do an onside kick and then try to score a touchdown and do like they try to do the 3, then the 7, or instead of doing the 7, then the 3, like when they're down by, 2 scores. But that wasn't even that. When they kicked the field goal, the time expired. So there was really no reason to do that. I mean, they really should just kneeled the ball out. So I don't really get the point of that. But yeah, that was odd. In terms of the game, I think the biggest takeaway is really from the Rams side. Like that, yeah. The Rams are a good team.
The Rams are legit.
Yeah. And that's what I don't want to be the guy that says I was right. And I didn't say.
I mean, sometimes it's not about you, right? Sometimes it's about the other person. In this case, sometimes it's not about your team. Sometimes it's about the other team. And in today's case, it kind of was about the other team.
Yeah, and I was trying to say that earlier in the week when people were saying, oh, Rams 45-3. Or, I mean, Niners 45-3. And I'm like, guys, like this Rams team it's a divisional opponent, and they're a good team. It's people are thinking of this team as the last year Rams with whatever is Brett Ripon at quarterback, and like
Brett Ripon, yeah,
like this is Matthew Stafford. He's a good quarterback, and he did exactly that during the game today. He just diced him up, and he just waited for the right time, right when the trade off in the zone would go from the man playing under to the safety deep, and he just throw that hitch route right then, and then it's just like that soft coverage. Like it's hard for me to say that anyone in the secondary played really terribly today. It was more just that they executed so efficiently in that first half. The talk on Twitter right now is that Isaiah Oliver played bad, and everyone in this stream didn't really seem to say that. I'd have to go back.
Easily his best performance.
Yeah, I mean, at least on the blitz, but
well, he got a sack. He got a pick.
Coverage. Yeah, no, it was a tip pick.
He got a knife. I mean, he didn't get a sack. He knifed into the backfield and blew up the run play. But he also got an interception, and he also made a key third down tackle on the first Rams drive of the second half. I thought Oliver there for about 15 minutes had a couple of the biggest defensive plays of the day.
Yeah.
No?
I thought Oliver had made big plays, but I think that the argument on Twitter is, he's a liability in coverage. So I'd have to go back and rewatch it because I guess I
Well, he's
wasn't
not-
watching close enough.
Yeah, he's not as physical as Jimmy Ward. I mean, that one play where he got kind of run over, I was thinking, wow, Jimmy Ward would have smacked the heck out of Kyron Williams there, and instead Kyron Williams kind of ran through Isaiah Oliver. That wasn't good to see. Let me share the screen here one more time. This is pretty amazing. Look at this. I'll kill the volume on it, but this is pretty amazing, Kev. When you look at this is the stadium today. I'm going to play this. Look at this. Look at the red in that stadium. Kev, that's a massive amount of red. There's like little tiny pockets of blue in an overwhelming sea of red. With the Niners having all their fans in the house, with the Niners wearing their red jerseys, it really felt very much like a home game.
I mean, when did the Rams move to LA? A couple years ago?
They moved back to LA? That's a good question. Well, they won the Super Bowl in '99, so it was probably in the 2000s. I would say 2007. Let me look it up.
I just think that move really kind of ruins your fan base, I don't see that place being a real home advantage for the Rams as long as they're playing the 49ers for a long time until there's young people that are
okay. The Rams franchise started in Cleveland in 1936. They were in Cleveland from 36 through 45. Then they came to LA and they played in LA from 1946 to 1994. Then they moved to St. Louis and they were in St. Louis from 1994 through 2015. Okay, so they've only been back. They've only been back for almost less than a decade. They've been back for roughly 8 years. They've been back in LA since 2015 or 2016.
I mean, the Niners fans have been showing up even in Pittsburgh. I mean, that wasn't the story last week was like, oh, Pittsburgh fans show up, and that was the opposite. It was a Niners stadium. I mean, it probably was more Pittsburgh Steelers, but it was surprising to the Pittsburgh beat writers. They're like, whoa, we've never seen it like this before.
Yeah,
so the Niners fans are traveling this year.
Niners fans travel.
I mean, when we did the call,
the Bay Area's affluent
from everywhere. Yeah, people call in from everywhere when we do those call-in shows.
Oh, there's no question. I mean, you got to remember this. There's older Niner fans that, may have grew up in the Bay Area. Also, the Niners were like the team in the 80s and 90s. You got almost a 20-year period when the NFL was exploding in popularity on television where the Niners were it. The Niners were the biggest thing going. I think you also see it internationally. The 49ers are a very big draw internationally. I think they've got the most fans in London. They probably have the most fans in Mexico City. Look at when they played the Cardinals in Mexico City. It was like 90% Niner fans, 10% Cardinal fans, and it was a Cardinal home game. So I guess my big takeaway from today is just that this 49er team, I don't think Brock Purdy was particularly sharp today. And yet this 49er team's offensive line really played well. Their weapons are top tier. I mean, Debo, Ayuk, and McCaffrey, if they can stay healthy, all look like they're primed for career years. Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw are in their super prime. And those guys combined today for 23 tackles. 16 of them were solo, a sack, a tackle for a loss, 2 passes defense, and a hit on the quarterback. So, I definitely think the Niners are going to get a lot of interceptions this year. But, Bosa hasn't really hit his stride. I think they could be a little bit better up front and a little bit better on the back end defensively. Other than that, I feel pretty good. I mean, I think this Rams team, Puka Nacua is real. Tutu Atwell is real. Kyron Williams is real. And Stafford's not done.
One other guy that we didn't talk about today that I wanted to bring up, but I never had a good chance, was the guy on the Rams, the defensive end, Byron Young, actually looked pretty good. And that was a guy that the Niners were mock draft to take from a couple people. from Tennessee, that defensive end. He looked good. And if you're the Niners, I mean, I know that they like their picks with who they got, but I mean, that would be a nice guy to have on the edge right now too.
Byron Young, from Tennessee, is a great edge rusher, and in this 34 front, he's playing that outside linebacker spot, and you can tell he's an athlete, man. He comes flying off the edge, and wait till you see Nick Hampton.
He leveled Purdy today, or was that Donald or Donald?
No, I think it was Young. I think it was Byron Young. Yeah, Byron Young's got talent. The Rams are not an awesome outfit, but they do have still Aaron Donald. They've got Byron Young. They've got Nick Hampton out of Appalachian State, not bad as an edge rusher. None of their DBs are all that great. That's where the Rams, I think, are really going to be kind of hurting as the season goes on. None of their defensive backs are really all that special. But Nacua, you're going to have a hard time stopping. Everybody is going to have a hard time stopping Stafford to Nacua. I mean, I would say it's almost a lock that he's going to have like 100 receptions this year. I mean, it's all he does is run, 6-7 yards down the field, turn around, and before he's even turning around, the ball's in the air. And he's so crisp with the way he runs routes, and he's got such good ball skills that he's got good reaction to it. That's almost impossible to stop. Almost impossible to stop. And if they do get Cooper Kupp back, and Kupp is the player that he was, pre-injury, I mean, they're going to be a really, really difficult team to defend. And I could see them beating a lot of teams. Yeah. A lot of teams.
Nacua is literally just taken over that Cooper Kupp role, and he's the perfect guy to do it. And I'm not sure if they drafted him with that idea of like, hey, if Cooper Kupp goes down, he's our guy. I never saw him at BYU, but he does. He literally, it's uncanny. Like he does literally exactly what Cooper Kupp does, like with the way he runs routes, where they target him. He has similar, ball skills. Like it's very uncanny to see like how similar he is as a player. But then he gets the targets share of a Cooper Kupp, and that's why he's valuable in fantasy football right now. I'm interested to see how they're going to use him when Cooper Kupp comes back. But
I mean, the guy is really special. And in the chat here, Mark Graves says, where do they find Nacua? Where do they find Puka Nacua? Let me tell you a little bit about Puka Nacua. He's an interesting guy for sure. He's from Provo, Utah. Okay, he's a Provo, Utah kid who went to BYU, and he's 6'2", he's 200 pounds, 9.5-inch hands. He went all 4 years to BYU. He was the Utah Gatorade Player of the Year and the Mr. Football in the state of Utah as a senior at Orem High School. The guy's been incredibly productive. He caught 103 balls and 26 touchdowns, all state records. He signed with the University of Washington for 2019. He played 8 games with 3 starts as a true freshman at UW, and then missed the end of the year with a broken foot. Then he played 3 games as a reserve for the Huskies in 2020, and then he returned to Provo to play for BYU. So he was kind of going home, and then he led the Cougars with 43 receptions and tied for the team lead with 6 receiving touchdowns in 2021. And then he led BYU in receiving again in 2022. 48 catches, 5 touchdowns in 9 games, 7 starts. He was also a threat as a rusher, but he also had lingering injuries. He's the younger brother of former BYU players Isaiah Sampson and Kai Nacua. So it's basically a family of football players, and he's a super athletic wide receiver, and he doesn't have big-time twitch or big-time vertical speed, but he's got great ball skills. He's very, very, very competitive, and he's kind of a possession receiver who can operate out of the slot, and he's sneaky with the ball in his hands. So you can run him on like jet sweeps. They used him on a jet sweep today. So he was a day 3 pick. He was a 4th round pick, and the guy knows how to run routes. He can runs his routes. He's crisp in and out of his breaks. He understands leverage. He's got a basketball background, So he's great at making contested catches. And the guy is he's a good hand fighter. He's very physical. He can be, he can really get loose on those jet sweep options. He's slippery. He's not an easy guy to tackle. He runs with a lot of strength. He doesn't have the big time acceleration that you typically see from NFL wide receivers. I think if you just put press coverage on him, he'd have a hard time separating at all. But there's so many teams that feature zones, especially in the first half, that he's just going to pile up catches. And he just dominates against the zone. So, I mean, it was a great pick by Les Snead for sure. And what Kev said before about, Cooper Kupp coming back, could you imagine you have two guys like this?
I don't know if that works.
Amazing.
Does that work?
Well, I mean, people are going to play man against you and kind of, get up on the line of scrimmage and dare you to throw it over their head. But you also have Tutu Atwell. And Atwell's like, an unbelievable burner.
The one thing I will say is that for as fast as Tutu Atwell was, they never really used him for his speed today. They didn't run deep at all. You saw the routes he was running. He wasn't even running that fast or that hard. It was like he's just running a curl route or a dig and then sitting in that zone and he's just like, give me the ball. Like that's literally how they played offense today. They're just like, we're just gonna, like someone put in the chat, like death by a million paper cuts. Like we're just gonna here a little dump there, here, there. And the only problem with that is that you have to be so perfect and you have to be so efficient that if you ever make any mistakes consecutively, you're screwed. And you're stuck because you got 3 first downs, but you're still on the 30-yard line. So it's like,
Well, I think what my takeaways today are that, Stafford is still very much a force if he's healthy, and he's healthy. And then Kyron Williams and Tutu Atwell and Puka Nacua are all legitimately real weapons. And the one thing about Atwell that stood out to me today was that one ball where Stafford stuck it and he had to reach for it. And he still plucked it with his hands, and it was just a rocket. And you're like, whoa, if Atwell can catch the ball like that, and he's got, sub 4.3 speed, I mean, he is a freaking force. I mean, he's
small, though.
He is small. I mean, he is small.
Like,
anybody who detonates on Atwell, it's going to be good night, Atwell. It's going to be night for 2-2. But right now, I mean, until that moment happens, he's got great upside. I'd love to have him on my team. I'll tell you that right now. And as far as the Rams on defense, they don't look like much. Donald's long in the tooth. My guess is they're going to trade Donald because they got to want Caleb Williams. And I got to think
they're not
that
going to get Caleb Williams.
I know, but I mean, if you traded Donald, you could get
the Cardinals are going to get. Like the Cardinals were up like 24-0 or like 20-0, and they just folded. Like they just folded and lost the game. Like if there's anyone that you could claim is like, oh, they're gonna go for Caleb Williams, it's fucking Cardinals. So I mean, that might be a problem the Niners might have in the future is a Caleb Williams led Cardinals team.
Well, who else is gonna be really bad? Raheem Mostert, he just busted loose for 6, 24-10 Miami.
Fuck.
Miami just
maybe the
putting
Texans,
away the Patriots.
But maybe like, are they gonna draft back-to-back quarterbacks? They'd probably trade out of it to whoever wants them.
Yeah,
that would be a lucrative trade for them.
But if I'm the Rams, I mean, I'll tell you right now, like this is intriguing for the Rams. They've already won their Super Bowl with this group. They've got an older group right now. Do you stay with Stafford and try to build around Stafford in the twilight of his career? Or do you say to the Jets, hey, you want Stafford? Give us multiple number ones. Hey, you want Aaron Donald? Give us multiple number ones. And then throw a bevy of number ones at some team and move up from 12 or 7 to 1 and get Caleb. I'll say this, if I were a quarterback needy team, this draft is not only about Caleb. There's also Drake May. There's huge fan
of good quarterbacks.
I'm a huge fan of Michael Penix.
Yeah,
from UW, and who's got an absolute Mahomes-like cannon of an arm. He's a lefty.
Is Shador? Would Shador be in this class too?
Yeah, Shador Sanders.
Yeah, and then the Duke kid, Kennard or whatever.
I mean, there's all kinds of I'll give you the
What about the
top.
FSU kid? The kid from FSU. That's he's pretty good. And Jaden Daniels, right? Is he in there? LSU?
This is the top of the draft. Caleb Williams. The Penn State's got an offensive tackle, Olu Fashanu, who's a monster. Then there's Marvin Harrison Jr., who's one of the best collegiate wide receivers you're going to see. I mean, talk about a lock to be great. Then there's Drake May, the quarterback from North Carolina. There's Kool-Aid McKinstry, the corner from Bama, who's a dominating player. There's Brock Bowers, who's from Napa, who's a Georgia tight end. A lot of people think he's really, really special. Dallas Turner, the edge.
Good. Yeah.
Dallas Turner, the edge rusher from Bama, is a
Who are
great
the
player.
quarterbacks?
Shador Sanders. They're saying he's going to go like 16th. He would be Bo Nix. Bo Nix from Oregon. They're saying it's going to be a late first-round pick. Like right now, I'll tell you right now, they got two of the best players I've seen already this year. Laiatu Latu, the edge rusher from UCLA, is unfreaking believable. They have him going 30th to the Niners, and then going 31 to Ravens.
Here's who PFF
is
has.
Chris Jenkins. Chris Jenkins is a monster and a half.
This is who PFF has as their top quarterbacks right now for the draft. Caleb Williams, Drake May, Bo Nix, Michael Penix Jr., Riley Leonard, the kid from Duke I was talking about, Jordan Travis, the Florida State kid, Quinn Ewers from Texas, Jaden Daniels, LSU, KJ Jefferson, Arkansas, JJ McCarthy, Michigan. So, I mean, some of those guys are definitely like third, fourth round talents probably. But, you know, that's more than we had last year and the year before that.
Well, I mean, they have Michael
10
Penix
guys.
in the second round. There's no way Michael Penix is going in the second round. If you've seen him so far this year, he looks amazing. He looks absolutely amazing. He's got 12 touchdowns and 1 pick. He's been absolutely incredible. Caleb, by the way, has got 12 touchdowns and no picks.
Yeah,
he's really special. So, yeah, it's going to be,
Dude, I saw fucking Nick Wright put out like
What'd he say?
Caleb Williams, like this is my QB tiers, and he had Caleb Williams like above like most NFL quarterbacks right now. I don't know if I'd put him like he had him over Purdy, he had him over like a bunch of good quarterbacks. Like he had him like I think like as a top 5 quarterback in the NFL.
I mean, Caleb Williams is I mean, people talk about Brock Purdy's small. Brock Purdy is 6 feet and change. Caleb Williams is 6'1", 220. He's 6'1". He's not 6'4". He's 6'1". So what does that mean? I don't know. He's a great talent. There's no question, but he's not 6'4". He's 6'1". So now Drake May is 6'4". And there are other Shador Sanders is 6'2".
May looked nice. He looked nice against. I watched him against South Carolina. He looked good.
Yeah, he looked great. But he's got 4 touchdowns, 4 picks so far.
He throws picks.
But he's got the stature you're looking for, and he's an athlete. He can run, too. But Michael Penix is like one of the greatest arms I've ever seen. He's a lefty who just throws lasers.
The guy that I think is going to be terrible in the NFL is that Riley Leonard guy. Like he's like the top 4. He's like in the top 4 right now, but he cannot throw the ball. He's like an athletic white guy only. It's like he's kind of like a worse version of Daniel Jones, which is kind of funny because Daniel Jones went to Duke as well.
Well, that's going to do it for us. Niners get a nice win over the Rams in L.A., 30-23. The final 49ers are 2-0. They're at home at Levi's Thursday night. We will be there with the New York Giants coming to town. We'll be there. So this week we've got a different week. So tomorrow it's a player off day, and I'll do my show with Damon Bruce at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. For Palmetto Superfoods. So join us on both channels, or either my channel or his channel, and tomorrow at 8 a.m. And then usually Monday afternoons, I do a co-stream with Grant. That's probably coming tomorrow afternoon. Tuesday will be a practice day. So I'll be down in Santa Clara Tuesday. We'll have a lot of, we'll probably hear from Shanahan. We'll go into the locker room. We'll talk to some of the players. It's kind of an accelerated week. Wednesday is an off day, and I believe Dave Lombardi and I will be streaming on Wednesday. And then maybe that will be late afternoon Wednesday. Wednesday night, still want to do the call-in show with Kev. So we'll do that on Wednesday night. We'll go double barrel. We'll go live stream with Lombardi in the late afternoon on Wednesday, and then we'll turn around and go caller show on Wednesday night. Thursday night, the big show with Vish and Jesse.
Thursday's the game.
No, I know. I was just going to say the Thursday night, the big show that we normally do with Vish and Jesse, Vishy and Jess. We will not be doing it that night. We'll put it on hold that night. Vish may actually wind up joining us on the post game on Thursday night, but Thursday night we'll do a post game with Baller and Kev and myself and maybe Danny and Rye, and we'll do the same deal on Thursday night. And then Friday, Jack Hammer and I will get together. We'll do some stuff Friday, Saturday, me and the coach. And then Sunday, we'll see. We'll kind of play it by ear. We'll probably do a number of things coming up on Sunday. Also on Friday, or also on Wednesday, I may try to do some New York interviews with some of the Giants people. So we may do that on Wednesday or maybe even Thursday morning before we head off to the stadium. So kind of a condensed week this week, only one practice day. Talk about a turnaround. How would you like to have played a football game today and then turn that around? And you only have, you're basically playing in a couple days. You get an off day tomorrow on a Monday, and then you're practicing Tuesday, off day on Wednesday, and you're playing Thursday night.
Yeah, that's killer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why this year when they're like, we're going to have more Thursday night games, or like, what was it? Wasn't it there like we can flex Thursday night games whenever we want, or what was that rule change this year? Something happened and players were like, this is not cool.
Yeah. What was that?
I don't know. I think it was like they have the ability to, I think you now have the ability to play 2 Thursday night games a year.
Oh, that's it. That is it.
Yeah.
That is it.
And players were like, that's not cool. And the NFL's like, well, we don't.
I know. NFL says, hey, man, you want the money? The players always, here's the thing. The players have, CBA representatives. They vote. Every time they've had this in front of them, they voted for more games and more money.
Yeah.
So everybody likes to say, oh, the poor players are getting screwed. The poor players are getting screwed. Obviously, the players don't feel that way. At least they don't feel that way when it's time to vote. They always vote for more games and more revenue.
Yeah.
Maybe it's in their best interest to vote for fewer games and less revenue, but they're always hungry for more revenue, and so they always vote for the additional games. And then when the additional games come here, people are like, oh, the players are getting screwed. Well, guess what? It's CBA. It's collectively bargained, and they have a negotiator. Don't complain to us. Complain to your negotiator, and don't take more money every time. Sometimes push back and say, no, you know what? We'll take less money, and we want fewer games. But instead they want more money and more games, and so that's what they've negotiated, and that's where we're at. So the good and evil on that always just gets a little twisted. We got J49 says, F work. I'm tuning into Larry. There you go. Screw work.
Love it.
We don't want to work. We want to watch YouTube all day. Kev, awesome stuff, man. Great job on the channel. Kev is now, for those who are sitting there going, look at Kev's background. 1, do you ever do any laundry over there? 2,
I saw someone like hitting on me like, oh, why isn't this kid doing his laundry? I moved in yesterday, so I'm still like, this bed didn't exist yesterday. I just got it, so all that shit is.
So do we have class tomorrow?
No, I don't start class till Thursday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What kind of schedule we got this year? How many units?
I'm still trying to get into classes right now. I'm in some classes. I'm like waitlisted in others. It's kind of hectic. I need to figure that out tomorrow.
Tuesday, Thursday? You going Monday, Wednesday, Friday? You going Tuesday, Thursday?
Stuff off. I've been pushing all that stuff off until after this game, honestly, because it's been so hectic. Like Sundays are so hectic with the game and all the stuff we need to get out and the stuff before that and just the move. It's just been like I can't even think about school right now. But tomorrow,
hopefully you're eating something down there, right?
I have not gone to the grocery store yet. All I have is
butter.
Oh
my goodness.
So yeah.
All right, bro.
Yeah. I
Good to see you. Great job on the channel this week. Incredible stuff. Go to the Krug Show on YouTube. We always have videos on the channel as well. We'll do more
out Mojo
videos
Fantasy.
throughout the week. What's
Check
that?
Check out Mojo Fantasy.
Check out Mojo Fantasy. Should we do a little commercial for Mojo right now?
No, it's good. I'm just saying, people check out the link in the description. Use promo code Krug. We'll have a new commercial coming out tomorrow with your picks for the Thursday night slate, which is the Niners game. So that will be interesting. And hopefully people will sign up and play Mojo Fantasy alongside us.
Did you see who got released today?
No.
Trey Sermon by the Eagles.
Man, dude, what a guy that I was pretty low on in the draft, and then once he got drafted and everyone was like so excited about him, I'm like,
I was super excited.
Maybe he's going to be productive. He's slow, but maybe he'll be productive, and he wasn't. So that's so unfortunate.
You got to hit the ground running full speed in the NFL, and he's just kind of a slow, rhythmic he's more of like a pick and slide guy, but you got to hit the hole. They open and close so fast in the NFL.
And when he
Trey
hits the
Sermon
hole,
was a great college back.
He doesn't accelerate in any particular. I think he was just strong enough and just fast enough to be really good with an Ohio State line that was really dominant. And in the NFL, he just can't make people miss, and he can't fight through the tackles the same. That's my opinion.
MF says Niners have a Thursday Thanksgiving game too. Yep, the Niners play on Thanksgiving and Christmas
and New Year's.
Have
all the holidays on lock.
Bazzy Mian is asking you, what's your major?
Construction management.
There you go. MF says Kev sounds very smart and multi-talented. Niner Gold says Kev will be a dropout billionaire.
What's funny is I may not be multi-talented, but I am multitasking right now. I'm working on the 49ers wake up thumbnail for tomorrow, which you are doing with Damon at 8 a.m.
8 a.m.
So yeah,
I got a bug flying around in here.
So
Mountain Cat says Kevin is the bomb, and Jimbo drops a Kev is a tech guy. Well, he's everything. He's a jack of all trades. All right, that's going to do it for us.
Of none.
Love you, kid. Have a great rest of your Sunday. I'm glad you made it safe down there. And Thursday night, be ready to strap it on, man. We got post game Thursday night after the Niners and the G-men. It's going to be a late night Thursday night. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. Peace, everybody. Have a great night.
Never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring.